Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Podcast Juice. My name is Michael Dean. This is the Prince Podcast or the Podcast on Prince. We've had many names over the years, but what we do here is we dive deep into some Prince. We love some Prince music, just all of that. And this is the spot. And I'm joined today, as you can see, Big Sexy and Sack in the building. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing well. It is nice to be back on the mics. As you can tell, I've changed my setup a little bit, showing
Yep.
off my new love of guitars. Got that happening.
Okay.
And yeah, let's get into it.
Yes, and he is off camera, but he is certainly here in our ears. We got one of the old school participants from this podcast, man, Mr. Day Dropping. Sir, how are you?
Yay, fellas, how you guys doing, man? I'm glad to be here to talk about this album. One of the seminal best albums, in my opinion. It is the who separates the men from the boys. This album.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm glad to be back, though, gentlemen. I'm glad to be here on this with you guys and discussing this album. Let's do this.
Yeah, man. I hope for the listeners, because I know for me, man, it feels like home. But there was a time with this podcast, and we're missing Big Ken. But man, this was the crew for a very long time, and really got into a lot of conversations.
It was the Four Horsemen for a bit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. So it's good to have you back. And yeah, we're here to talk about Around the World in a Day. I can't believe it. Like 40 years later, this album is reissued again because it was reissued before. But here it is. They've given it an extra kick in the behind. Nice packaging, which we'll get into. But that's the fact that we're still alive and here this album comes around again, man. I never would have thought we would have had something like this. So I do appreciate that. Without further ado, let's just get into this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go song by song for the most part. We're also going to play the music for the most part. And so I will say this: if you are watching this on YouTube right now, I'm going to have to cut the music out so that we can so that you can enjoy it here and it won't get, copyrighted or whatever. But if you want to experience the full on thing that we're doing here, go to the Patreon. You can see there's a link right there on the bottom somewhere. That way you can hear this whole thing unedited, uncut. With that said, let's just dive right into the title track to start things off with, and we'll backtrack and talk about the album a little bit. But just to get ourselves in the game, let's go in on this a little bit. Can you guys hear this? I just want to stop it right there for a second. I want to get you guys' quick takes on this. Take me back to 1985 for when this first came out, and you hear just that right there. After everything you know of Prince so far, what was your initial thoughts when that came out? I'll start with Big Sexy.
My initial thought when I first heard that opening little piece there back then was, okay, we got a Middle Eastern thing going on. We got a little Middle Eastern thing going on. Let's see where this takes us. And it immediately let me know off the rip that he wasn't doing Purple Rain Part 2, which was all I was concerned about. I'm like, don't be that guy, man. Do something new.
Well, you thought about that back then, like,
oh God, yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, anytime you have a big album, the safe bet is to do it again.
Right.
And then when you do it again and it doesn't land like that, people are looking at you like, the fuck, man? That's all you got?
Interesting. Okay. All right. Day Drop, and your initial thought when you heard that.
Yeah. Well, 85. That I was 12 years old.
Oh God.
Maybe 13, depending on when it drops. So I'm coming off of the Purple Rain hype and everything, and I had already been listening to Prince for about 4 or 5 years at that point, and we had a certain sound associated to him. It varied a little bit from album to album, but not like this. So when this came about, when this came about here, I literally I remember hearing it. I got on cassette. So I had one of those old school, small little wide, short and wide dual cassette players because you were the shit if you had one of those, right? So I had one of those. I was happy, and I popped it in there, and it started doing all that stuff, and I was just looking at the cassette. I had no words. I was just looking at it. I was still. Nothing moved. I was just looking at it like, I wasn't sure. And then he did the, okay. Okay. and I really wasn't sure, and I just let it play. And luckily I was alone when I was listening to it because, again, I'm 12 years old. I'm in junior high. This isn't sounding cool right now. So I didn't need this to be playing around my friends and then be thinking I ain't cool listening to something like this because it just wasn't sounding cool. So I was listening on my own, and I was like, oh, man. Oh. But it changed drastically as I listened to it some more. But yeah, that was my initial thought was,
Yeah, I quickly, I was a Prince fan who got on during Purple Rain. That was, I had vaguely heard some of the other songs, but I had no association of who he was to those songs. So Purple Rain was my entry point, and started listening to other things from that. And then, of course, Syracuse. I'm just so enamored at this point. Like, whoa, what is this guy? And it was different than Michael Jackson, who I was heavy into before that. So this was a change. But I remember when that came on, I didn't know what to make of it because it just wasn't the thing that I knew so far. Like you said, musically, I was like, the hell? And again, I thought it was, the Middle Eastern thing. And I'm like, and I said this before, this just made me think of Indiana Jones or something, Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they're going through India. And I was just like, this is not what I expected. And I initially did not care for it, just in the sense of it. I don't normally listen to music like this. So I was just like, because if Purple Rain would have sounded like this, I wouldn't have been up on, it was just a different vibe. Let's just put it that way. So it was just, I didn't know what to make of it, to be quite honest. But let's continue.
Well, sometimes a different vibe is a good thing, though.
Oh, no, absolutely. But I'm just saying back then, in terms of, as I was saying in a different podcast, where my ears were and where I was musically in music. Yeah, this was just like a hard street. When he goes, we don't like new wave. That's what this was. I was like, what the hell? Where's erotic cities and the da-da-da-da? So anyway.
Wait, Mike. How old were you back in '85?
Shoot, I must have been
16, 17, something like that.
16 something. Yeah, 16, 17.
Couple of youngins, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
How about you, Big Six? How old were you when this came on?
21.
We could play the whole thing and
okay.
Man, straight blue ball this right there, man.
My bad. You can play the whole album. You can play it for yourself. Let's get into it. I'll start with this one. I'll make mine quick. And I'm speaking from the perspective of two things. One, I want to just what I hear now, take on it. So to me now, with this remaster, with the Atmos, the fullness of this is very much more apparent to me. The drums and the percussion, you can clearly hear them now. I feel like they have a space in the mix or whatever it is, where they're not like kind of muted down. They're not overly loud, but I can feel the presence of it. And I feel this hypnotic, tribal sort of vibe that for me at this time, as I said earlier, was unlike anything sonically I had heard from him. He didn't go into this type of music on none of the other albums prior to this, in my opinion. The background vocals of Wendy, Lisa, whoever, Susanna, fantastic. And he's had, the female vocals sort of things in the past before, but I feel like they're way more prominent here than ever. And I would argue that this sets the tone sonically, production wise, for the albums moving forward. To hear the girls' voices so prominently, almost like a sandwich around all the other music, and then with his voice, a stylistic choice that I love. And to me, in my mind, when I think of Wendy and Lisa, that's what I think of when I hear those kind of harmonies, and I love that in this. What else did I write? And then again, I could just say, then going back to what I thought at the time, I can see how this opens the door for Prince in terms musically, where because before this, at least to me, maybe not to you, Prince was the same way that I would look at like Bootsy, Roger, uh, maybe Cameo or whatever. They made funk records that defined the genre. And then Prince took it up a notch and created his own sound, the Minneapolis sound, which was the dominant sound of that particular time. Like, and he created that. It would be like, to me, it'd be like if Teddy Riley, he became known for New Jack Swing, like that was his sound. And not only was it his sound, it was the sound everybody else wanted to sound like. So to hear the person that is the catalyst for the sound of the time drop from that and go way over here to this, you don't hear that very often. That's a risk that normally, I'm going to say black musician, any musician does not usually step out of their genre and go do something else at the height of them being super successful. I probably even, or you could probably argue a rock or any other genre artist who was super successful is not going to abandon the sound that made them and then go right at the height of it, go do something totally different. At least the intro of how this album starts. And this is at a time when albums meant everything. So we listened to it top to bottom. So it did matter how an album started. That was the thing. Because there was no skipping necessarily. You had to let it play. But it was just, to me, this song embodies, this is not what you expected. And this is the first time you get, this is not what you expected at the very top of the record, at the height of it. Again, he had never done anything like this at that time. So I just, now hearing it, it is just so powerful to me. And I'm like, I can imagine how that felt like. Well, I remember what that felt like. And for good or bad, this changes his whole trajectory as an artist. Understatement. Big Ken.
Wait, Ken's here?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Big Sexy.
Damn. All right. I got a lot on this going through my mind. I remember a lot of people would say when this came out, "Oh man, it's like Sgt. Pepper." No, it's not. No, it's not. Having said that, this song reminds me of, if we're going to use the Beatles reference, reminds me of some scenes in Help when they're chasing Ringo around with that, trying to cut the ring off his finger. That's what that reminded me of. And like you said earlier, also, when any artist is successful in one area, they're like, I need a break. I'm going over here. The biggest example of that to me is when Jimi Hendrix broke up his band and did Band of Gypsies. That was a different vibe than what he was doing. And then David Bowie came out in like 75 or so and said, "I'm not doing Ziggy Stardust anymore." But what if we want to hear it? And he's like, "Buy the album." And he stopped doing it. And so when you're an artist, you want to challenge yourself as well as your audience. You want to take them on a ride wherever it's going to go. Some people will come with you, some people won't. That's the nature of this business. And sonically, you and I talked about this off air a little bit. Sonically, for me, because I have this album in 2490 192 high resolution, and so this remaster is in 2496. So I do hear a difference. And I guess because of the change they made to accommodate the Atmos things, when it's mixed back down to 2-channel, I hear a little bit of a, for lack of a better word, peak, right in the low mid-range upper bass area. That's not there on the original version. But as far as space in the upper frequencies, a lot more space. And the master volume on this version sounds a little hot to me compared to the other one. A little pushes into the red a little bit. I mean, if you didn't hear the other version, you probably wouldn't pay attention to it. But I was doing direct A/B comparisons. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm hearing. And since our personal friend Bernie Grumman, he mastered this as well as the original one, we should have contacted him to get some insight, because he was there both times. And I think I saw you say this on Facebook, the cat who mixed this, Chris James, I believe.
Chris James, yeah. So
didn't he pop in on one of your live feeds?
Yeah, we did a live stream last week. He was in there talking about it a little bit. Yeah.
Cool. So he would know much more than I would. But there is a difference. I like what they're doing with it, and they're not doing too much. Because with the 1999, with Purple Rain remaster, they did too much with that. They just put everything on the mixer, turned it all up. No.
That's Prince.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because I saw a recent article or something I was listening to, and I don't know if it was Jimmy Jam or Susan Rogers talking about this, and they were like, I think it was Jimmy Jam, and it was a recent interview he just did. It was fantastic, but he was talking about recording with Prince and how they learned how to record based off of him, and they were like, Prince had everything jammed all the way up, and they recorded their early stuff jammed all the way up, and it wasn't until I think it was Ajay said, or somebody was like, yo, let me show you guys. You can't have it too hot. So it's interesting. I say this to say, I wonder, like, when he was recording this, though, was it supposed to be kind of hot? That's how he had it. And whether it was just technology or the sonics of it, we didn't really hear it that way back then. At least in my mind, it was sort of, listening to this, it almost seemed muted down a little bit, or tinny, I should say. But again, I have to remember, and this is something Dave Droppin said, I mainly grew up listening to this through now sort of inferior things to play it back on. So it was the little boom box sitting in the car. It was some Walkman and some, $3 headphones that have no bass response or anything in them. And we didn't know this back then, as opposed to what we can listen to now when you have these crazy setups and these headphones and all that stuff. So that's another interesting part. But Day Dropping, man, love to hear your take.
Well, let me preface my part on this with, like you said, Mike, I heard this in cassette first time for years, and then would hear it in CD, and then off of things that Big Sexy would say, off of what Mark would tell us, I got the HD tracks for this album. And it's the first purchase I've done through HD tracks. So I got that. Why? Because in my TV room downstairs, we have kind of like an Atmos setup right there for our movies and stuff like that. I have a 5.1.2 setup, being the 5 front, 2 sides, left, right, the 2 surrounds, and then 1 subwoofer, and then 2 Atmos speakers up above on the ceiling. So I would do more, but the room is too small to do more. But that's what I have in there. So I said, okay, let me listen to this. And it was opportune, because yesterday my youngest daughter, who still lives with us, and my wife, they were out shopping. And so they gave me time to listen to this, volume up and really listen to it. And I'm in the room. The TV had already gone to screensaver mode. It was dark, basically. And I turned the lights off in the room. I'm in there with my eyes closed, like I'm just listening to it, just letting it really soak in. And doing the comparison from, I guess we'll go, my comparison more is just to the cassette, because that's when I really listened to it like crazy. To this. Yeah, it is much heavier. It's I think honestly, this is so far the best remix that's been done by the estate on any of his albums, because it's the
Mm.
one that of the albums that have come out, the one that I expected it to least need it up to this point.
Interesting.
But when I hear it, I'm like, wow, I guess it really needed it, because it was very surprising. Purple Rain, we wanted it. It was too loud, like Mark said. 1999 was nice, but we knew that those would need that. I didn't necessarily think Around the World when they needed it. I
Mhm.
was wrong. It definitely does. It did. And this is a beautiful mix that was put together. I'm hearing, I'm not hearing so much things that I didn't hear before. A couple of things on the hi-hats that I hear now that I wouldn't hear before.
Mhm.
But it's just mixed in such a way that some things are not, they're not drowned out. You know, they're not in the background so much. Everybody's kind of standing in a straight line. All the band is standing in a straight line. Everybody facing me and playing the music at me. It's not, and some of them then stand behind me and play music back there, and stand to the other side and play music over there. It's not like a straight line front to back, and they're playing the music. So somebody's going to be drowned out. It's just more atmospheric now, and I guess that's the idea. But it sounded, all in all, it was just so much better than what I was used to for so many years. And this is one of the foundational albums for me.
Mm.
You know, early to late 80s, that's the foundational years for me. That's also the Wendy and Lisa years, for the most part. And I'm going to say something that might be blasphemous to folks, or some people might agree
Oh.
with it, but I think that the biggest influence that Prince had was Wendy and Lisa. Without them, I don't think you'd have nearly as much crazy sounding stuff from Prince that you would otherwise have. I think he would have stuck way too much to. We would have had Purple Rain too, I think, if
Mm.
instead of Around the World in a Day, if not for Lisa and Wendy's input. I feel their input so much more, and you see it still happening a little bit more, even through Parade, and even
Mm.
through Love Sexy Up to Sign of the Times. Yes, even Love Sexy, because the influence was already there from them. And I don't know. I just feel that they played a lot into it, and this was the beginning of that big time in Around the World in a Day. And I thought it was beautiful. To touch a little bit on what you said, Mike, it was very interesting how, yes, people, a lot of artists were. It was difficult for them to dare themselves, and I'm really surprised Warner Brothers allowed Prince to release this album,
Mm.
because, and I'm sure you guys would understand this, the younger listeners probably wouldn't, but definitely still in the 80s, there were lanes. There were definite lanes. And if you're an artist, you're a black artist, damn it, you better stick to the R&B. You better stick to the funk, because that's your lane. And it's not right, but those lanes existed. And they were very drawn out. They were not, though, the lines from one lane to the other, that was a very distinct line right there.
Mm-hmm.
He was switching over to other lanes with this album, which in hindsight was awesome. But I'm surprised that Warner Brothers allowed him to do that, because he was so mainstream at the time
Well, I think
that
I
they
can
allowed him
answer
to.
that. You know, why Warner Brothers would do that, because back then, when Purple Rain came out, Prince and his management team, off the strength of 1999, said, "We want a movie." What? We want a movie. And
Mm.
at Warner's at that time, Mo Austin was running things, and Mo was a tremendous supporter. So Mo let him do what he wants to do, and it's working. So why start static? And we fast forward into like to the 90s up till now, all those people, and I was gonna, here's an outdated term, but there are no more record men in this field
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
You know, now you're all about, well, can we
Bean
stream it?
counters.
Can we do this? We got the accountants running things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just not the same. And so then you lose that artist nurturing, you know, you don't let the artist develop and grow anymore. They get a couple singles, oh, the album didn't sell, get them out of here. You know, so
Yeah.
that's
All
why
right.
we got that
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah. You're right. And yeah, I forgot about that, about Moss and being there that way, because I had heard that before, how he was a big supporter of things. So yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense. And I'm glad that he was there. It was opportune. It was fortuitous that he was there at the time because it allowed for Prince to be Prince. And you could tell he never wanted to strictly be one type of music genre guy. That's never been his way. He's always changed things up a little bit from one album to the other, but this was very, very drastic. Like I said, this is the one that separated the men from the boys. A lot of people dropped off who were big time on the Purple Rain hype train, and buying all the shirts at the time. Funny that they do that now, right? But buying all the shirts at the time and just going along with what was popular in the top 40, and then this comes around. There was the beginning of America in their heads, and then
Yeah.
they just and they just got off of it. No, for me, that made me just stay on even more because that made me go, oh, like I said, when I first started. But then as I heard the song more and the beat kicked in, then I'm like, oh, okay. He's the Prince sound that I dig is still here. It's developed, and I'm like, all right, let's hear this.
It's maturing.
It is mature. Yeah, it is maturing exactly. And I was 12 years old, so was I, little by little, right? So I mean, I was able to do that as well. And this whole vibe, this whole sound, really enveloped me as a 12, 13-year-old, and it made me want to kind of go with that semi psychedelic, groove. And that's what I was into at the time. Because of this album, it really, really shaped my formative years going into later junior high and high school. If not for this album, I don't know how I would have been as far as the character goes in high school. Now, to get back to old school, I must give a score. So, score on this one. Talk about an opener. Woo! This is the opener, one of the greatest openers to end the all openers on the Prince albums, because this is going to make you or break you as a listener. Because of that, it really pushes things, and it's awesome. I love this track. I've always liked this track. It made me go, when I first heard it. That mean I didn't like it, but I love the shit out of it. And the more so now, because it's so inclusive. Taking this mix into it, I don't remember what score I would have given it way back when, but now this is 10 out of 10 to start the album. This is how you start an album. If you're gonna shock somebody, don't just dip their toe in the pool in the cold water. Throw them in there. And this album does that. This for opener throws you into the cold water right away. Lake Minnetonka cold water throws you in there. Make you come out with headlights. So it's one of them things.
All right. So 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
The one thing that I think was a missed with this song, and you can find it on YouTube, so it's not like you can't listen to it, but there is a longer version of this out there. I think there's a couple different versions of this song out there, but there was a longer version of this that is fantastic. And I could only, if that longer version would have just been on the album, I think that would have helped dramatically back then for me. But you need to hear this song, how it really plays out too. I think if nothing else, it should have been a 12-inch or something.
Was that officially released, or do we need to be creative and find
it? As I said, it's on YouTube. You can find it.
You can find it on YouTube. It was
never came out.
It should have been.
They should have put it on this. That's what I'm saying.
They really should have.
All right. Let me backtrack for a quick second. So this album was released November 21st. I'm sorry, no. This was the new version. It was released November 21st. Excuse me. This was April 22nd, 1985. Was it weeks or months after the end of the Purple Rain tour?
He was still on tour, wasn't he?
If I'm not mistaken.
No, I think it was a couple of weeks after.
After? Okay.
Yeah. Like maybe a month after, something like that. I read it recently. So it was after the tour had wrapped up that this dropped, which is more incredible that he had the balls to drop this right after the tour.
At the height of Prince's thing, like at the height.
Right, because that last tour, that last venue was a sellout. So it wasn't like he was dying down from Purple Rain. Purple Rain was still up there.
Yeah.
What it was year before, it was the Frenzy was, but not even a year before, months before the Frenzy was at its high point. So
Let's put this in perspective. It was 10 months
Mm.
after the release of Purple Rain,
mm,
which,
Mm.
when you think of it like that, sounds crazy. I'm talking about back in 1984 times. 10 months is nothing, actually. When you think of what was dominating, really dominating, that guy would wait 5 years or something between projects. So for you to have a monster hit and 10 months later drop another one is unheard of, man. Like, and it'd be such a drastic change from that. That's beyond ballsy. That's some wild shit. That's wild to do. So anyway, yes, drop back then. And just when again setting the stage, this is at the height of Prince commercially. And I want to say what Purple Rain was sitting at, what, 10 million or something sold or something. It was multiple millions of albums.
At that time, it was probably
At
around
that time.
5 or 6.
And this does is what ultimately this only does 2 million, which for most other people, you might be up out of here. At least in today's world, you'd be out of here. But back then, that's very telling. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. We'll get into the politics of it. Play a little bit of Paisley Park. They dropping. What say you?
Well, I say that this is a beautiful track, man. Once I got to, because like you're saying, Mark, I mean, guys, you put the album on, you're hearing it beginning to end. That's kind of how that works back then. So you don't get to really skip stuff around when we first got this to listen to. I had, especially because I had it on cassette, so I had to listen to it beginning to end. So I get to the second track now, and the beat kicks in right away. There's no funky Middle Eastern sound to it. I'm all okay. Whew. And then I'm in, and I start listening to this, and man, especially now, it sounds so cool. This is how you're supposed to hear this song, man. You better get some good headphones, get a good sound system, and listen to it, because it is everywhere around you. It's like you're in the middle of this park. And the musicians are there playing in that park, and Prince is singing in there, like, and they're all around you just playing music. That's what it's like. And I've always had that kind of an image that I'm walking around inside this one funky psychedelic park, and there's Prince and in the band playing, and they're playing this song. And I swear every 4 years, the line will always ring in my head right around election day. Whoever said that elephants were stronger than mules? Every time without fail, that line goes through my head. This is how ingrained this album is with me in my everyday. And this track here, man, it's just crazy funky. The bass is relentless on it. I love the guitar on it. I've always liked the guitar on this one. I was air strumming the guitar parts right now when you were playing it, because it's just one of those tracks that it just, now I'm nostalgic on it. So it takes me back to the 12-year-old on a rainy day listening to something like this. And last night when I was listening to it, or the other night when I was listening to it, I was, like I said, listening to it in the dark and stuff. You get to the chorus, I have to sway my head back and forth. I'm swaying my head back and forth like I listen to it. It makes me do that. How some songs when you hear a beat, it makes your head bob. No, this one makes me sway left to right during the chorus. It's just one of those, it's because it's such a happy vibe to it. It's a positive deal to it. And that's what I like about this track. It's such a positive track. And it just makes you just enjoy it. It's joy is what this track is. And then to find out later on that he was, creating Paisley Park. I mean, it was cool to kind of connect that dot. That, he had this in his head a long time before. He knew that he wanted himself a studio, and he wanted to call it Paisley Park, or I think it was going to be called something else originally, but Roadhouse Garden, right? That's what it was going to be called originally, I believe. It was going to be called Roadhouse Garden, but then he switched it over to Paisley Park, and I go, okay, this is cool. And man, you guys will take off deeper on it than I could on this. For me, this is a vibe track that just makes you just sway not head bob.
Mm.
It makes you sway, and not too many songs make me sway, but this is definitely one of them. As far as the score goes, it's gonna be, this whole album is high. As far as I'm still no surprises here. This is I don't. Okay, I'm gonna give it a 9
You wanted to give
because
it a 10, didn't you?
no, yeah, but I did, and you know why I cannot give it a 10? Because you got the remix that lives somewhere, and that one's the 10. That's why. So, but yeah,
All right.
that's what I take on this one.
I'll just add mine where I agree with pretty much everything you said. Again, hearing it like this really gives me to enjoy it in a whole different way. I can't say enough. The background vocals, this one particular is Wendy and Lisa, phenomenal. I really, again, it just setting the tone of like, this is the sound now, with the girls' voices on there, very prominent, very much hugging the track. Love it. To me, also, it's interesting. This actually reminds, I don't know why, and I said that I wrote this last night. It reminds me of Purple Rain for some reason. I can just see them doing this for some reason. It doesn't sound far away. It did at the time, but now as I listen to it, because I can really hear it, I'm like, I could see them doing this. Like I can see the revolution at Purple Rain. I can see them playing this song. Looking as I look when it was recorded, it is very interesting. Like this was done in September of '84. And this is Prince by himself playing everything, except for Wendy and Lisa doing the vocals. I can only imagine this. And then, like I said, this was done in September of '84, and Purple Rain came out in June of '84. So just a few months from that. It's interesting. This is what he's going. However he gets to this point, he's in the studio recording stuff like this. I just think that's fascinating. We'll go to Big Sexy.
When I hear this again, I take back what I said earlier. When I hear him say the line, "They're taking a lifetime lease on Paisley Park," that sounds like Strawberry Fields to me. Just that one line.
Okay. Yeah.
And
I can see you say that. Yeah.
One thing about this song and what you said about it, Mike, is, yeah, I can see the Revolution playing this as well, but they got me thinking, I can't see the Silent Times Band playing this. And people argue that they are better technical musicians, and that may be true, but I can't see them playing this and giving it the same.
It would be different for sure.
Exactly, give it the same vibe that it has. So, and at the same time, I can't see Revolution playing Silent Time stuff either, with the exception of Beautiful Night. So that's always good to know. And again, this was a better song for me when I heard this way back when, and now, like, okay, we're not going to go too far left into the mysticism with the little finger symbols and all that. I'm like, what are we doing here? And now we're going here now. I'm like, okay, fine. And if when you go back and look at the album cover, just like in Purple Rain, all the songs are in different fonts. So that's going to tell you that each song is going somewhere different. Let's go. I'm on board for the ride.
All right. Yeah. And again, just, I had a note here. It was just such a style change. Just coming from what we just heard, I was thinking at the time, okay, he's about to go back into, that's just but no, it was like doubling down on, no, this is different. Like it was such a tonal shift. And I wasn't expecting for the album to stay there that even 2 songs deep. Because I will admit, when this first came out, I didn't really rock with this song. I had to listen to it over and over and over before I really started to kind of click in. It's like, actually, I'm kind of digging this. I'm seeing where I'm starting to, I had to let loose my expectations of what I thought Prince was to me at that time. And this was such a drastic change. It took me a minute to get into this song.
Mike, really quick, a long time ago, you had said that a precursor to a good Prince tune will be the woo at the beginning.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Don't believe that.
another precursor to that is a count off at the beginning of a song.
Okay.
1, 2. If you get that, then on a Prince song, you know it's
Yeah.
gonna get it's something because we got another one coming up. So, I mean,
Interesting.
that's a precursor to it as well. But the main
Yeah.
one is the woo. Yep, that's the main one.
That's funny.
This
Okay.
could work as a one long sequence like Love Sexy. This album would work like that on CD. That is.
I can see that. I can see that.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely you're gonna cleanse your palate from whatever you was, in real time. It was like, yeah, you didn't think it was gonna be like this, and I'm not saying in a bad way.
No,
it's totally different. Okay, this next song, "Condition of the Heart," always been a favorite. I would say I never appreciated the way I appreciate it right now, because I think this mix of it, this presentation of it, puts this in my mind. I guess I'm jumping. Puts it in one of the all-time great for me. And now listening to this now, it was so underrated to me how I thought of this on the album before. Now this is the showpiece, in a sense, to me. So I want to play a little bit. We'll get into a deeper conversation. But yeah, this song is, eesh. Man, I gotta take it down.
I can see why you took so long with that one. I can see.
Yeah. I'll just finish mine off to say this is also, now as I'm really listening to this today and at this time, this is the start of, this is interesting to say, this is the start of Christopher Tracy Parade Prince to me.
Yes, 100%.
It's ironic or interesting that this is Purple Rain Prince, though, doing this, right? Like, this is from '84, months after the release of the album. But even at this point, he has the confidence, the experience, the talent to do this by himself. And it sounds so full. It sounds like a movie. The storytelling, it almost sounds like there's an orchestra at parts, but there isn't. Like, this is the keyboards. To me, he does this later. Like, you could take something like the Kama Sutra. If you've ever listened to that, and there's parts of that I love. Particularly, I'm going to really nerd out the original version of the Kama Sutra that was a bootleg. From some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about, versus the one that was released. Well, all of that orchestration type of stuff that he does, even years later, starts to sound way more keyboardy, and you can tell that it's not real strings. But with this, to me, this here sounds way more, and I don't know if this is part of the remaster too, but this really sounds like nothing. I mean, this sounds epically large sonic, soundscape here that he's never done before. And to do this with a more ballad type of song, and I used to think this was an even more softer type of ballad, but now really listening to it and the way he's playing the chords on the piano, this is up there with The Door to me. It's the same type of song. It's even more emotional. I think his vocal performance is even more extravagantly dope and layered, and the piano playing is fantastic, man. The slight guitar, the French Riviera or whatever it is, he just is able to throw in those types of feels that sound like other places, and for him to meld all of that, I mean, this is a masterpiece song. This is a masterpiece Prince. And at the time when this came out, I didn't see it that way because I didn't hear it like this. But I have to give him credit, man. This is fantastic. The most impressive thing for me, this is the most impressive thing on this album now to me. Like, I didn't know he was he had that ability so early on. And so just fantastic. That's all I can say, just repeating myself. Day dropping, go ahead.
Well, Mike, your little guy ears have matured and grown. That's why.
Yes.
That's why. That's why. Yeah. But everything you said is 100%. This is the highlight of the album as far as I'm concerned. Grumman must have had a field day with this, putting this thing together and remastering it. God, who wouldn't? And he had to make some very, I'm sure, strong and difficult decisions over how to mix things on this, because there's so much going on in this track. There's so many layers
And,
to
and
it.
just to give credit to Chris, because my understanding is Chris is taking the actual tracks,
He built
the
it.
actual tracks and mixing this. So
He
yeah.
rebuilt it then.
Yeah, and I think that's
Oh,
what they did
my.
Purple Rain as well, the Atmos. But no, they're doing the actual stacking and sometimes maybe having to go get something,
Got me some chills. Got some chicken skin going on now. Imagine being a fly on the wall during those sessions.
Yeah.
Oh my God, to be able to hear all that, because I love listening to a song over and over and over again to hear, let me hear the hi-hat today. This on this listen through. Now let me hear the bass on this listen through. Now let me listen real close. I don't care about anything else. Let me just hear the I don't know, the different instrumentation, and I can drown everything out. So to be there listening to each different parts there. So whenever, for example, like the stems came out for Let's Go Crazy, I just shut the door all day just listening to the different things. It took me hours to hear the whole thing, because I geeked out. I geeked out on that.
Yeah.
So but I can imagine they geeked out as well when they were making this song and putting this song together for this remaster. I've always felt that this is like, well, more so now. This is the song. This is the song that lived before the life of How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore. This is what happened before that song happened. As far as the storytelling goes, they're a 1-2, follow one up, then the other, and you'll see what I mean. You'll hear it. It totally makes sense that one follows the other that way. This I've always liked, and he did it. I felt he did it with it as well, with the whole beginning instrumentation on it where it leads to something. I've always felt the beginning of it was the ending part of it, where it goes instrumental at the end. That was telling a story right there. It's going to sound weird. I've always felt that it, because what it refers to there, that whole ending part of that song was an act of intercourse. It always played out the way it sounds. This beginning of this one here was the beginning of a couple meeting and having a fun time and having a tumultuous time towards the end and the breakup. And that music tells that story. And then once that part's done, it leads up to the crescendo. That's where the big breakup is, where they just had the big fight, and she left him because she left him. So, and then the song starts, and he's heartbroken, reminiscing on it. Beautifully told, and it was something that I caught on to that even as a 12, 13. I would have been close to 13 at this point. I caught on to that when I first heard it. I go, oh wow, it's like a story. And again, that kept with me. If I go telling that to my 12, 13-year-old friends, they would think, nerd. They're gonna understand. But again, you got to be mute. You got to have, as he would later coin, the musicology in you to be able to hear this and see this and understand this. And if not, it's going to force it to you if you listen to it more and more. And that's what this song did. Now, to just quickly give it a grade on there, because now I hear so many more sounds. The hi-hat, the cymbal is so pronounced. They were unjustly in the mix too deep before. They were always there, and you can always hear them, but now you really hear them. You hear them, Mike. I mean, you're miming them. It's there, but you really have reason to go snap your hand on the when you hear it, because it's there and it makes you do that. This is obviously a 10 out of 10. How could it not be? This is Genius Prince before people were really calling him Genius Prince, because before that it was, he got lucky with Purple Rain. Everybody digs it. It's cool. It happens right there. But no, this is Genius Prince emerging here. And yeah, I've always thought this to be a pre-telling of Christopher Tracy as well. The promos for this thing was that he was not going to tour. He was not going to do videos for it. No real promotion for it. And somewhere, and I don't remember the exact quote. If I look it up, I probably could find it. I don't know if it was on Right On or one of the other teen magazines or something like that at the time. The quote was, when they asked him what was going to be happening next, I think he said, "Well, look to the ladder." I go, "Oh, cryptic. All right, I gotta figure this out." And I would hear this song, and I thought he's making a movie. I go, "This must be how the guy is in the movie. This is why this track is in this album, because he's giving us all the hints of what's going to be happening next." So yeah, I kind of connected dots to Christopher Tracy, and when Under the Cherry Moon came out, I was like, "Eureka! I was right." And so I love this track for the nostalgia of connecting the dots back then to Christopher Tracy and all that. And yeah, this is beautiful. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Big Sexy. Just to add, I wrote on here. This is also this was to me a masterpiece R&B. It takes it again. It takes it to the epic realm of, because it could have just been a soul song, but he adds so much, and it's not overstuffed. But he is able to masterfully keep it tight, but make it sound stadium ready, I guess I could say, because it still had, when he's doing that, he's doing his same thing he did in Purple Rain, dun, 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 just that kind of thing that he does.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's still in there, and even the way it ends,
The drama, the musical drama drop that he does.
the way he even ends it reminds me of, like, this is the same, like he could go right into a door from this, because it's like such a going off, and then the real Prince, or the same Prince that says, well, maybe not the ride, to me, says at the end of this, he's got a condition of the heart. He's not, to me, the tone of his voice, he's saying it like, yeah, like he's still kind of that whip smart kind of Prince dude, that would have just turned away and walked off, super swagged out, the way he says it at the end, which is so different from the performance that he's vocally giving. And I thought, even in the midst of this, he still threw in, his like persona that you're going to see a little bit later, but you really see that, yeah, I'm still having fun with this. Like, I'm still cold with it. So I just, fantastic.
Just one quick thing here before we pass over, like that. Paisley Park would make me sway here. The one thing that this song does, and I to this day I will always do it when I hear it. When he gets to the end, right after he says, "Got a condition of the heart," I will completely stand still, not move, to hear that heartbeat. Dum, 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 dum. Like, I can't, it just kind of keeps me still until of course, the next one kicks in. But I have to do that. I have to do that. And I have to be able to laugh at myself now, because this is another kind of to the South lyrical misstep.
I haven't heard that in a while.
Shots fired.
This is another lyrical misstep on my part here on this one. For years, for decades, I have to say, I thought the lyric was, what was it? The girl from, the lyric is the ghetto, right? Girl from the ghetto. I thought it was some kind of foreign land called Nugato. Nugato. Next time you hear it, listen for that name, and you're gonna hear it. All right, this Mandela
Nugato
effect. It was Nugato. It was never the ghetto.
All right,
but I gotta laugh at myself. I was a 12-year-old who had no idea what the ghetto was all about. And so there I was hearing Nugato. Oh, she's from Nugato.
Yeah, she's from Nugato. All right.
Yeah, she's exotic. All right, I'm done.
All right. Big Sexy.
That's how I lead into him with that.
Wow. All right. Briefly, visually, on the end lines where he repeats the opening verses, I could see that character in like a park on a blustery day. The leaves is flying and he's waiting for her to show up, and she didn't show up. That's rough. But the only negative, quote unquote, I would have is in the second stanza, I'll call it. I don't know. Where he's all giggles, that thing, giggle. No. He
Which
needed
part?
another phrase there. Because he's
When you
all,
would see that, she would do the same giggle that you
yeah,
do.
that
Oh,
same
okay.
giggle that you do. No.
Oh, I love
I
I look too much
did
for
think that
you.
was kind of corny back in the day too. I did.
Man.
That was
To
whack.
me, that just shows like he's just brave and confident to be just
Yeah,
like
he's
he's
just open
having
Oh,
about
he's
fun.
it.
always been brave,
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that's a vulnerability to be able to say something like that.
I mean, he was rocking that Carol Brady perm back in 1979, so he was always brave.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I just didn't like that one portion. Now, this song also could have fit on Parade.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Actually, some of these songs to me somewhat remind me of Graffiti Bridge album in a weird way. Just because now they sound a lot more fuller to me, and they sound like like before, like if I played like a song like this from this album, and then I jump to like Graffiti Bridge, or if I jump to Rainbow Children, it'd be such a sonic difference in it. But now this sounds on par with those, and like I can really hear musically he ain't changed that much, from this to some of the later stuff. It's
Oh, of
just the
course.
way that it sounded. I think it's the technology that was different sonically. It wasn't necessarily musicianship. You can change the sounds that he's using, but he still kind of plays them the same way. It's just they sound more bombastic or whatever was going on at that particular time. But one of the things listening to this album now, I can see that very similar to things that we hear years later. And before I thought they were a little more drastically different, but they're not now that I'm really hearing the totality of these songs. Any other last things on Condition of the Heart before we move on? I guess no. All right, let's continue. This is a classic, of course. All right. One thing that blows my mind as I was looking up this song, our Principal, the original tracking for this song was 1982.
Yeah.
And when you think about it like that, like I said, now when I hear it and I'm listening to it now, I can really hear that. I'm like, this is a classic Prince beat. But the way I've always heard this, I just in my mind, oh, this is some pop shit. It's just a straight drum. But no, it's not. It's actually the classical Prince beat programming. You can clearly hear all of that now. And to me, I'm like, this song sounds just like all of his other great songs. It just has great storytelling. It has great songwriting. It is very catchy. I mean, he knows how to write catchy stuff and come up with hooks that are infectious. And the good, the bass and the guitar is still just as funky as ever, but it just has another layer on top of it with the strings and all of that stuff that you just don't normally associate with him, but it works perfectly. Like this actually it's a classic single as it should be. And I see why it works regardless, but now I really get to hear it. And I've been so impressed. Like, wow. And the fact that it was an older song, really just speaks to like, as much as we want to pigeonhole him to, this is a Purple Rain song, or this is the Prince song. Like this is just Prince doing Prince, but he just was able to like, oh, okay, let's pull it a couple years later and give it a considered effort to say like, I can kind of make this a little more poppy. It's still my regular stuff, but now that I'm the man now, yeah, I'll put this out now. This would work now. You know what I'm saying? Like this could be, like this could be a thing. Like this is, to me, this makes me think of the song with Apollonia. Take Me With You.
Take Me With You. Take Me With You. Yeah.
It's the same kind of like, this is light-hearted.
Similar beat too.
Yeah, and it also reminds me of, I think I wrote this down. It's almost like a funkier version or take off of Manic Monday as well. They seem very similar, actually. The way he's singing the song, the bridge. There's a pocket and maybe those songs are in a certain pocket that he, I can do these types of songs, the Manic Mondays, the Raspberry Beret. I can do some pop shit now. That's, what I'm saying? Like I can get in my bag on that. And this is just deep in his bag, but it is at its core though. It's essentially Prince. And then it's not too far off from the things he's done before when you really listen to it. This time we're going to go to Big Sexy.
This song to me, I'm going to go all over the place now. It's like 1994 when they finally released the Black Album officially. And you have that album, you have all the stuff on it, and then you have When Two Are in Love. Like, wait a minute. This is the same vibe because it's the obvious single. And to me, it's bittersweet because it reminds me of when he was on Muppets Tonight. And I don't know how far along Maite was at that time, but you could see he was all into the Muppets and being a dad and all that stuff. And he's singing Raspberry Sorbet. And I'm just cracking up the whole time. That's what I see and hear whenever I hear this song. The obvious single, to the point it was almost like concocted to be the single, but nothing else really could have been a single. And he does that, and band's in the video, and they tacked on this longer portion for the video. I'm like, where's that? A little beginning part. Where's that? They need to leave that on there and just let it go through naturally. They can leave the cough out for the recorded version, leave it in the video, but they should have had the whole extended piece in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that remix version of it, the long version, to me takes it back to the obvious sort of like, I can make this on some funk shit, just as easily, because that's what it really probably could be. But I'm gonna make a concerted effort not to play chicken scratch on it to make it something different. Because you're right, like it easily falls right in the pocket.
Yeah.
And just to throw in here too, this song, it says Sunset Sound, Hollywood, California, April 27th, 1982. A day before Something in the Water Does Not Compute is put down, and a day after How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore. So this is Prince in the bag. Like this is just another jam of the day amongst Burners 1999.
Wow.
This is wild. This song is crazy. Go ahead.
I'm done. You're up.
Day dropping.
Yeah. I was this thought just came to my mind on this a couple of minutes ago when you were playing the song. This is Prince doing some funky country music, because he's telling the story. I never thought of it like that. This has a country song vibe to it. And I don't mean it to try to sound funny when I say that. It really does. When you listen to it, he's telling it. This could be a country song. You imagine a country singer singing it with an acoustic. It could pull off. There's probably somebody out there who's done a cover of it, a country singer. Wouldn't surprise me because of the way it sounds. But yeah, this was poppy one, and it's very not unlike what he did with Mountains, Between Mountains and the 12-inch. Such a difference between one and the other. They're almost completely different. They are completely different songs, as far as I'm concerned. But this one and the new mix, as they call it, that takes it up levels. It's already a great pop song. He can fart a pop song if he wanted to, man. He was so good at this stuff. But man, but he just raised it up to a higher level with that new mix. And but because of that, I have to this can't go higher than a 9 because of that new mix. That's the 10. Sonically here, you hear again a lot more, and this is kind of a theme throughout the album. You get to hear a lot more percussion and a lot more hi-hat than ever before. And on the new mix, it really helps with the cymbals, the hand cymbals and stuff. And but here, it's just a fuller song. It's more poppy. It's poppy with full caps, is what it is, and that's not a bad thing. So yeah, but it's not as good as the full mix of the remix on it.
Just something came to mind or talking about it, thinking about the song. It very much has the strong. If you see the Susanna or Wendy, that raspberry beret, that female background vocal. But I wonder if he would have had that same thing, and you would have had a more singing type of voice on it. It would have had a whole different spin. Like if it was a Rosie Gaines or Bonnie, as opposed to the Susanna, it would have had a different vibe to it. And I wonder if he was like specifically like, no, I don't want it to sound like Shaka Khan singing along with me, which would invoke a whole different, soulful, super soulful vibe. But it has that pop. It makes you think of a pop top 40 kind of space with that voice against his on there. Which you don't even, I mean, to me, like even songs like 1999, where he sort of shares vocals with some of the girls in the back, they're not as prominent where it doesn't take you out of thinking these are quote unquote black records or R&B type soul records. I think their voices add a lot, like you said, to really broaden him out, just from the listener's point of view of like, oh, okay. Yeah, what was the young lady that they were all into?
Joni Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell. Yeah, I can kind of hear, vocally, tonally, a little bit of that type of stuff. Which when I hear that, I like it, but it's different than when I think of, Shaka or Mavis or.
I hear that.
You know what I mean?
Definitely,
You know what I'm saying?
Joni Mitchell. Yes, yes.
And also keep in mind that at that time, Prince was full on schmoopied out with Susanna. So of course he's going to be more receptive to her presence and want her presence on his stuff. And at that time he was working a lot with Wendy and Lisa. Susanna was a natural fit. Boom. And she was in there.
Yes. All right. Let's go. Day dropping. It's on you.
Wow, tambourines. I love tambourines. Yeah. Man, years later, I'm like, okay, oh, that's what he meant by tambourines. Okay. Yeah. Man, this is another one that I had to think that the folks working on the remastering had a field day with putting this one together. Just with the crazy timing of all the different instrumentation and on it, this is wild. And this is a percussionist's dream. This album, this particular track. I think it's a great side A closer because albums were put together in that back then in terms of how you open one side and close one side. This is a great closer for side A. And the only sin on this track is that it's not longer. And I want to believe that there is a 12-inch of tambourine somewhere. And I hope we get to hear it, because how wild would that be? As wild as this is, if you let him just go crazy with this track, and the tracks that we hear were never the full tracks. We always hear part of it. Some stuff, but I seriously doubt there's probably just a handful of tracks that Prince recorded that are on album this is their true length of the track. Most of them tend to go a lot further, and they have to cut it down as needed for whatever reasons. And I think this is definitely one of those that was cut down to make it the way it is. This is the ADHD track of the album, man. It's just all over the place, but man, I love it. I love the feel of it and how it basically just how it's so scatterbrain, and but at the same time, it's, I don't know, lyrically I don't have words for it. It's just one of those things where it's just a silly song. It's not silly as Prince, but it's silly song, but that just it's just a great closer. It's a great closer because I would love for it to be longer. I can't give it higher than a 9. Oh, what a sin! It's just a 9, not a 10.
Oh, big sexy. Go ahead.
Until just now, right before you turned it off, I'm thinking the song is called Tambourine, and yet I don't hear a tambourine. Oh, wait, there it is.
You hear it now?
Okay, cool.
You
I
hear
hear
it?
it now.
Yeah.
I
You hear it
definitely hear it
now?
now. And I have to bust him on this one thing, just like I did on that giggles. Oh crap! What is trembling? What the hell is that?
Oh man, that's the funk, baby.
That was not funky. That was not funky. But other than that little misstep, yeah, it's a misstep.
Wow.
You know, I like it. I like it, but I like it with this flaw, and it's a flaw.
All right. Headbuster. When when this came
Yep.
out, this was when I first heard this, I stopped in my tracks, and I lived here at this song for many a times. When I used to have this album originally, I would go to this, I play it over and over. There was always that one Prince song that just blew my head open when I was like, God damn, like what? And to me, this was easy. I wish it was longer. You know what I really wished back then? To me, this was what I expected Prince to do based off of, Syracuse and all that. I was like, oh, this is that jam. Okay. And I just couldn't. I was like, boy, when they do this live, it ain't gonna, I'll die. And the thing is, we never got it live. I was so hot about that. I'm looking at Prince Vault. I don't remember this, but it says the first live performance of this track by Prince took place over 17 years after the song's initial release.
Damn.
Some concert October 6th of 2002. I need to hear that. But yeah, to me, Tambourine this is the guy I fell in love with this early. This is my wheelbarrow. I was like, oh my God. And I just thought it was so funky. It is so funky. Last thing I'll say was, to me, this is like funky drummer Prince. Like, if you know the funky drummer song, just somebody that would be, I back then never thought that he was actually playing the drums doing that. I hadn't seen him do that yet. So that blows my mind that this is just all him. And I would also think this is a little bit, to me, in my ears, this is early Madhouse. This is what Madhouse, take away the vocals. To me, musically, this is when I think of Madhouse, I hear the same player playing. That is what I hear on this.
I can hear that.
Yeah, I can find that.
But yeah, just fascinating. Like you said, this was the closer of side one or side A.
Yes.
Yeah, that's shit. That's like shit. That's like a kind of like, okay, I just walked you in and gave you, the roses and so beautiful, and I'm singing about love, and then it's like, okay, now I'm gonna kick your ass at the end because the other side we're about to get crazy, and I love that when you flip this bitch over. Okay. All right. So any other last things on Tambourine? All right. And the new mix of the new remaster, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. All right, here we go. You gotta get out of that early because that'll easily start something and then you won't get out of it. We'll mess around, have to play the 21-minute version. Man, Big Sexy.
Whenever I hear this song, I think of two things. One, when I saw him in San Francisco, first encore was this. And people were like, what's this? I don't know. You playing, so shut up. And then when I saw the real Power of the Revolution in France on the live version, shit. They tore that to bits.
Yep.
Shout out to my man Eddie M for sitting there with him on that. And it was a blast. That needs to be included on this. Because he just broke it down. And they just, they put in
you just said
on
something.
that.
You said something that absolutely they should have took the audio from that
and put
that on this and gave it to Atmos, or that would have been
that would have been just insane. Because that was the performance there. They were on fire there.
Yeah.
But to this one, 21 minutes, gotta be in shape. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to think that there was a longer version, the tape ran out.
Yeah, he cut it down to 21 minutes too.
That's crazy. I just add notes I had here. You can really hear Brown Mark popping on that bass. Nasty. The kick drum has some bottom to it now. This is even tighter than I thought. You can really hear the band and there's funk and hard. To add your point about the live. Now to my ears, this matches the energy that I hear on the live version. When you hear it like this, in my opinion, the Atmos, I can hear this is funking way harder than I ever heard back then. Even when the 12-inch, which was fantastic, now it's like, now I hear like, oh, they was jamming on this. I can imagine why Prince was like, back when he was doing the interview about this album, he was like, no, Around the World in the Day is funky. I didn't understand really what he was saying. Like, I thought he was just kind of saying that to be saying. Now I understand. Like, you goddamn right. Like, this is bananas. I just don't think it was. We just didn't hear it the way when you hear the live version. To me, it's the exact. But this now you can feel this version. Like I said, it changes the dynamics of the record of the album to me. Like, this shit is banging. If I was in charge, you would have started the album with this. Like this, to me, this would have been the start of the album. And this is really, to me, like Dirty Mind Prince advanced a few different levels. And now I'm still on that, we don't have to fight your own damn world. But now oh man, and now it's relentless funk. And so I can see why they was going for 20 something minutes, because they was jamming the fuck off. They was going crazy. It just, excuse me, they just had to condense it for pop reasons, I suppose, because ain't no way in hell this should be faded right when the record, boom, that's when it's about to turn.
About to get it on. Yep.
This is on the same boat of Another Lover,
Exactly.
When that break, it's about to get good. Like, what are you doing?
Vicky waiting all over again, man. When
they're wild.
This is bananas, and I love that they made a point to spotlight the 20-minute version on here, because again, if I was in charge, y'all would have hated me, but I would have kept the album the same. But I said, you know what? Take off that album version and you put the 20-minute version in its place. And that's the album going forward. You if you don't like it.
There it is.
That's him unleashed. Goddamn.
That's what's up.
And that's what the song is supposed to be. Yeah. But anyway, so that's my thoughts on this. Fantastic. Is it day dropping?
Yeah. So I told this story before. A long time ago, we did the review way back when. I'm gonna tell it again because I remember I had, like I told you guys, the little boom box. It had the 2 tape player on there because it was the shit, because you had the 2 tape player, you can dub right then and there. And so and those things were notorious for also eating up cassettes. We all had that cassette player. They eventually got so old they started eating up cassettes. So what I thought when I played for the first time side 2. Shit, it's eating my cassette. I took it out real quick. I was paranoid. Took it out. Okay. So then I played again. I played it a couple of times, the beginning, just to make sure. And okay, that's how it starts. I would love to know how this track actually begins. I would love to hear the actual beginning of the track. But I've always thought this is just such a unique way. One of the most unique track beginnings that I've ever heard is this track beginning here.
Do you think they were trying to simulate a turntable?
Yes, a turntable where it just kind of stops and then let it play. Then hold it and then let it play again. Yeah, that's what
it was like. Early Prince scratching.
Yes,
which I grew to despise by the time we get to the 3D Bridge or something. But here, it doesn't come off that way here.
No kid, let me rap.
Anyway, that's another podcast.
So yeah, that freaked me out when I first heard that. But yeah, this song here, I've always liked it. There's one little tiny quip on it, on this particular version of it, and it's always existed on the other versions as well. I mean, everything you guys said is it, but it's a 9.5, not a 10 for this one little quip. The 21 inch is an 11 out of 10. But this one here is 9.5. Why 0.5? Listen to it, and it's on the HD track as well. It goes mono at the
Oh,
very
at
end.
the end? Yeah.
At the very end as it fades out.
I got
For like
that.
the last few seconds, I thought something was wrong with my speakers and my sound system downstairs when I was listening to it. I never really listened to it. So I had to go back and listen to Around the World, the old one. And sure enough, it's there too.
It did that on the original?
It did that on the original.
Wow,
It
I
goes
never
mono at
picked
the
up on that.
very, oh, because we wanted to keep going. That's why we were just on to the next song. But it's only on the very last part there. I think on the on that part when it fades out, that's where it goes mono. It's weird.
Interesting.
But other than that, man, this song is, yeah. He threw a bone to the Purple Rain heads with this track being included. Here you go, guys.
Mm.
No estén chingando, so you won't be,
Yeah.
crying about it. Here you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
man. This is
That's what
a
I'm-
beast. This song's a monster, man.
It is, and that 21, yes. If you can keep up aerobically with the 21-inch, then you in
Oh,
shape.
man.
You in shape if you can do that. I tell you what.
Yeah, we'll get to that. All right. Oof, just more classics.
Mhm.
What did I write down for that? I said stunning Sly Stone Prince shit. To me, this is Prince's funked out take homage in a weird way to Hot Fun in the Summertime. The drums are nasty. This is Sheila E., I believe, playing on this. Fantastic. Like, I can only imagine what she would have sounded like playing on a lot of his stuff back then. That's the one thing that if I was in the quantum realm and if I was in charge of, it's like the revolution, with no disrespect to Bobby Z, I would have put Sheila E. in there. Them songs, it'd have been different, but she just brings a certain kind, which I think you hear later in his work. The bass playing now, you really, like I said, you can hear there's double basses going on, and I don't know if that's Prince or who. I mean, just the emphasis when he starts, and I love it because it's live playing, so it's not the same exact stuff every time. It's not looped. He can lean into stuff when it feels like it, and you can really hear it. What else did I say? Back when this came out, yeah, this was another one. So it was Tambourine and Pop Life. That's where I lived on this. Like, I played those back over and over. I would ignore the other songs for a while. I just played these two. This was also for many years my favorite Prince song of all time. For many years back, like after this came out, Pop Life was my number one Prince song for a very long time. The other thing I said, this would have been also the same way I would have had America at the beginning. I would have had this as the first single out the gate with the video. This would have satisfied. This was enough of what I knew, but it still had that, the rainbow and all the, so-called psychedelic feeling a little bit of what he become. But to me, it had that, what he was great at, it had that, he made it sound like it was, how would I say? It sounded grand. It almost sounded apocalyptic a little bit or something. It really fit with, to me, like I can see the progression from a 1999 to this, When Doves Cry, My Draws, the one with Apollonia, Take Me With You. But to me, this is funk. But again, it's built on, to me, it's built on the back of Sly Stone. I mean, in the same way he does this later with If I'm Your Girlfriend, at least some of these other songs, they all in that same wheelhouse where, the bottom is on some fly shit. When he does that, to me, is just fantastic. The tone of voice, the way he chose to do his voice, the way he has a very cynical kind of storytelling songs that he does, and this fits. This is the Prince philosophy on looking at things. You know, he can be very biting at times a little bit. What you putting in your nose? Is that where your money goes? You know, he had that very clever, kind of almost biting, satirical, but he was probably dead ass clowning a little bit. I love that. And he made it sound whimsical and funky. So to me, this was just a top tier song, period. But I love to hear this in this totality. And I'm not even talking about the extended version, but to me, this is a brilliant song. Like this would be on the album. Do Me Baby. This. If I Was Your Girlfriend, Strange Relationship. Just that real soulful Prince. Not unlike in the same sense of I would put Private Joys. That Prince R&B. It's fantastic, man. He has a way of using the soul stuff, but he still keeps it where it's like you ain't never heard this like you ain't heard it like this before. You know, it's almost a Mad Genius type of vibe to it. But God, this is a fantastic song. We'll go to Big Six.
You know, a few things pop in the head with this one. First, the extended version. What's the matter with your sex? 15 minutes, your best. Oops. That was cold. And from there, you mentioned Sly, and I could definitely hear that. Could definitely hear the Sly in there too. I love that song. How did Larry say it? County Fair in the countryside. Love that song.
Yeah.
And finally, in 1999 at the pay-per-view show, they took that opening of this song, that little keyboard or whatever the hell that thing was, and they tacked it onto the beginning of Kiss, and then it was chaos because Larry had his bass, Prince had the I bass fired up, and it was on. So when I hear the beginning of Pop Lock, I'm thinking, oh, Kiss, what? Is it on? We get into it. And they just blew it out. And again, I like this. I've always liked this song. To me, this is a highlight of the album. A highlight of the album. And I love it. Still do to this day. So many things going on. Takes me so many different places. Memory-wise, love it. Nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah, we're going to go to Day Dropping. Just to throw in here, initially track recorded the 19th and 20th of February 1984. If you put that in your mind, this is before Purple Rain came out. Well before. They're still recording Purple Rain. They're probably shooting the movie or not have maybe done or something. So this is from Purple Rain, early Purple Rain Prince. And you can't imagine if this bitch would have ended up on that album or be all over. But anyway.
Man, I don't know how many times I heard this track simply to hear the bass line. And now it's a dream to be able to hear it even better. And then the when he goes, oh, I love that. I love that when he climbs up. Woo! Yes. And you know, it used to early on. It would bother me when you get the throw the bum out part with them. I don't mind it now. I really don't mind it. I like it better. I like it when it doesn't have it. When you hear the remixes on it. But I don't mind it. I think it adds charm to it. It's as charming as in front of the Raspberry Beret remix. You know, to have that in there. You know, and I've heard it a couple of times. I know you hear it in the Sting, I believe. You hear that part there, the throw the bum out. It's come out in movies. It's just a used soundbite that's been used for background stuff in movies.
It says it's from the Jack Holzman 1964 sound effects album titled Authentic Sound Effects Volume 4.
Yeah. It's being used in different movies where I've heard and I go, wait a minute, I've heard that. You know, I think the Sting was one of them. It was also had stuff from Lady Cab Driver and the Sting that you hear. But yeah, this track, man. I've always liked it. There's never been no issues on it. I just give my score right now. It's a 10 out of 10. this is especially now with this with the way it is. Again, you're enveloped with the sound on the Atmos version, and it adds to it. I can't give any more praise to the mixing on this thing. It's so much better now. It's so much fuller, and it sounds like I'm just gobbling it, but no, this is true, man.
Well, it earns it. Yeah.
Okay, you said it, not me.
Pause. There you go.
It's a Thanksgiving reference, guys. Come on. So yeah, this is one thing I always remember. This, man. Again, these songs remind you of certain things way back when, and I remember going. I don't remember, 88 maybe, and summertime. Friend of mine, we go to driving school at high school. We go to take driving classes right there. Driver's ed, and I remember one morning. Some girls in the front of the class were talking about songs, and I guess this was still in the mix out and about somewhere. And then she mentioned this song as well. And white girl that probably loved a whole lot of Depeche Mode and stuff or whatever, And so she was talking about the song, saying that she thought it was so dumb. You were talking about, were you talking about the lyrics of the lyrics dealing with addiction? And then why did he talk about a river? That's so dumb. It's so stupid. It always stuck in my head. And I never said anything on the back of the class, looking at her with the side eye going, man, you don't understand. You don't get it. It's just it always bothered me. When I hear that lyric, it's still, I'm taken back to that moment, hearing that girl saying that was dumb. I go, man, you dumb. You don't get it. You don't understand. But yeah, man, this is one of those tracks that, it's funky, and I was waiting for the bass string to pop somewhere to just pink, because they were just slapping that thing so hard, just getting, man, that bass line. The bass line's a 10 out of 10. You're the rest of the song. The bass line's a 10 out of 10. Jeez,
you went Depeche Mode. Whoa,
telling you. But yeah, no, this. I've got nothing else to say on it. This is the banger one that's only surpassed by the remixes, because again, this is during the time when Prince did the 12-inch. You better listen back then. So, and the 12 inches of the 12-inch of Pop Life, the two versions of it are just wild. But yeah, this is it. This is definitely, like Mark said, this is a highlight of the album, 100%, especially now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the 12-inch. I think I said that's on the live stream or something. But when I first heard the 12-inch, I was at a high school dance.
Oh,
and I didn't know it was out. And they played that at the down, and I was like of course, I was the guy who was all in the Prince at that time. And I remember Prince coming on, I was like, okay. But when they went to that la la, I was like, wait, I don't have this. It's like, what is this? This ain't on the record. I was tripping, like, whoa, what the? And I stood there and just listened to the whole. I couldn't believe it. And that weekend, I had to go to the record store and find that and buy that immediately, because I was just like, how did this? I couldn't believe it, because I was so mad that the song was so short on the record, and I was mad because of the cling and all that. So to finally hear I was just like, I was in heaven, man. That's why this song was one of my favorites for a very long time. Yeah, Pop Life. I'm getting better than that. All right, moving on. Man, you go to church on that. Day drop.
I've gone on record before on the podcast saying that I don't really care for Prince gospel, but this is an exception. Oh man,
gobble it up, sir.
Gobble 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 gobble, slurp gobble gobble. Anyhow, all right. So yeah, no, this one here, man. Yeah, this is, you going to church in this one. You are going to church in this one. This is I got to be serious tone with this one, because this is just this is one of those songs. A very introspective tune as well. Lyrically, you hear it and you have the lyrics in front of you, reading it. It's actually, it's very beautifully written. I mean, Prince can write some good lyrics when he wants to, and he can be silly at times and all, and very sexual at times and this and that. But no, this is very poignant lyrics here. I think it's very, even more so now, older than I am now. I think it's a very beautiful song, even more so now than I ever did. I have much more appreciation for the song now than I did when I was younger. When I was younger, I would listen to it. Sometimes I would listen to the whole thing. To me, when I was younger, I always thought that the whole back end of the song just went on for too long. Now, no, I think it's correct that it go that way. It's driving a point home, and I think that it works that way. Um, the one thing on it that, and this is how you know that this song has stayed with me throughout the years so much. And I had no idea. I didn't know the lyric was Electra. That is, she had a sort of name Electra, and there's a girl's name, right? But I didn't know what Electra was. 12 years old, I have no idea what that is. I thought he was saying Alexa at the time. Sound like Electra, Alexa. It kind of sounds like it. To the point where, all these years later, when my daughter was born, I purposely named her Alexia to coincide with what I thought I heard on the ladder. So in essence, I would tell her, you kind of named off of what I heard in a Prince song, and that's where her name would come from. But yeah, it stuck with me that long. This song, it's just one of the songs that takes you back. I saw Mark when you're playing this. Mark, his eyes closed and he's just taking it in, and that's how I am when I hear this song now. The song takes me to church. I mean, he's just straight preaching to you. And this one Prince is, and I'm okay with that. Before I was kind of taken aback by it when I was little, 12 years old. What do I know about that? But now, no, it's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song. This is even more so now, sonically. This is not a song that I think needs to go on further. I don't need to hear more, but it's a perfect package song as far as I'm concerned. I still don't like Graffiti Bridge, but I do like this one. This one is definitely a 10 out of 10.
Right on. All right, Big Sex.
In the past, I have been critical of this song, and the listeners came to see me. they let me know I was wrong. And now I have to co-sign with Ernie on this. This takes you back to church. And I just realized yesterday that sax on this album is Eddie, and not Eric Leeds. I didn't realize that. So I'm listening to the song, and I heard the sax. Like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like Eric, because it's not. And he took it to church without being heavy-handed is just long enough. Get in, make your point, make it well, move on, which is what he did. You can't ask more than that.
Yeah, I would add standout part when those who want to go, that energy. And to hear it, just fantastic. Again, the background vocals on this, fantastic. I was reading on this. It says this song was basic tracking October 31st, Halloween, 1984. Last day of rehearsals for the Purple Rain tour. And this was at the St. Paul Civic Center Arena where they started recording this with the band. And then like the next day, Wendy and Lisa with Susanna and Taja Seville go and record the background vocals that you hear. And they did a masterful job. Again, this whole album, so far, a lot of these songs, it's a whole different feel when you have the ladies singing those backgrounds like that. And this is where you can really hear it. And it just sounds great. And I jokingly brought up Graffiti Bridge, but I think it's a style that carries over into his other songs. And I think later you start to hear Sheila's voice more prominent on these backgrounds, which I love too. But like the mix of Sheila and Bonnie, when you listen to the original version of Graffiti Bridge, and it has that same everybody I mean, it's the same kind of and this is just great, man. This is again this song jumped up many notches with this remaster. I liked it before, but it kind of had a more tinny. I've been saying I just didn't have the bottom, didn't have the fullness of it. This sounds like a full production, and I really get the gospel vibes. You can feel the it's coming off of it, and and again when he starts to screaming, man, what a great performance. Excellent performance.
Let me bust your head on this one. Yeah. You take this and then you do it in concert, and then you back it up right up against Forever in My Life. It would be chaos.
Interesting.
Now it will be on there.
Do we ever really well, I will say, I don't know. I'll say this. The snippet that we get of Prince doing this in rehearsal during the documentary
Omnibus special, yeah.
They need to go on and find that full thing and give. They should. That's why I hate to do this. This should have been on this. I don't care how you did. Even they just took the audio. Listen, you don't even have to give me the video. Just extract the audio, remix that. Because if we would have got that version of him singing that, they should just put that out, man. That's fantastic. And really, there's not too many live versions of this song at all. It looks like I'm looking here. It says they did it once in '86, and then the next time it was 2016.
Whoa.
So, yeah, I don't know, for whatever reasons, this didn't, one of those songs that didn't really get live push. But man, what a fantastic record. Yeah, it's fantastic. Oh, did we give it a rating? Or did we do that yet?
I did, yeah.
Did you give it again?
Wait, did I? I didn't, huh?
No.
I didn't. Okay, yeah. No. I mean, this. You tell me what it is. You tell me what the rating is on this. Come on, man.
Oh man, I hate to do it, but I'm gonna give it a 10. Like, it's great for what it is.
You would be correct, sir. You would be correct. Yes,
yeah, I mean,
it's a 10. Obviously, I mean.
And before I used to compare this to Purple Rain. No way now. Not the way it's not at all. Like, this is way different than Purple Rain to me. Isn't totally different vibe. Love it. Okay. Any other last things on that one? If not, we're gonna move on. All right.
All right. I'm starting on this one. I said it before. I said it years ago. I'm saying it again. That last piece, I promise I'll be good. Get out of here with that.
Ah, man.
That was bullshit. That was bullshit.
Wow.
I don't know when I'll be back. Get out of here.
Come on, man.
You'll be back with Parade. Don't even try me, man.
Wow.
Everything else is magnificent.
You wasn't feeling that part, huh?
I was not feeling that last part. No.
Did you like it when he did that in the Syracuse? He was kind of doing that.
I didn't like it in Syracuse either.
Okay, well, there you go.
So I remember watching. I'm like, "What the fuck is this? Come on, man!"
Man, that's the lore, man. That's the opening up the Prince universe. Like, yo, but I feel you. Okay. Day dropping.
At different times, I remember reading on the org, and different people had put up different topics regarding best Prince yells in songs, and different songs had come up. And one of the predominant ones that would come up was actually Something in the Water, which I agree. It's some good yelling going on there, but it's got nothing on this one. He'd be torturously yelling on this one. I mean, this was something else, man. Again, I'm 12 years old, going around the house. Pop, go, mama, when daddy get a little too much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? They're like, oh, no, I did it.
Back then, no.
But they're always singing
I'm
that.
thinking he's slapping Mama like from Purple Rain or something like
Oh, you get them-
pop go Mama when she get. I'm like, what?
something like that,
Wow.
right? Nothing like, yeah. You know, no, man. This is almost some silly ass Prince. Almost. I mean, you could probably make an argument that it is. He's just being wild with this one though, and you know. But on the serious tip, though, this is you want to hear some good screaming. Here it is, some good Prince screaming. You want to hear some good guitar playing, some crazy guitar playing, especially now with this mix. It's even more wild than this mix. This is the song for you. So Prince can play guitar. Yeah. Here, let me put this on. This would not be a bad song to demonstrate how he just shreds on guitar and how he just makes guitar scream. Now, I remember again after having heard about, oh, there's no more touring, no more albums, and this and that. He's not going to be touring anymore. I took that to believe that he was done with the industry back then. No more albums, that's it. And I was bummed out. So when I hear at the very end, I have to go now. I don't know when I'll return. Goodbye. And that ends. I was at the time 85. I'm like, oh shit, that's it. Well, I guess that was it. You know, but you know, of course, no, but at the time, yeah, I was like, I was kind of bummed out with the ending. But I thought it was a great song though. Man, he's wild in this one, talking the kind of mess that he's talking about. This is like he finished with the ladder, got off the pulpit, and said, "Okay, everybody, I got some pancakes out in the back room. Meet me back there. I got another song for you." And they all went back there, had some pancakes, and he sang this to them. He preached on them in this one, not in church, but in the little room way in the back. And he just went off on them with this one, man. This is what a wild follow up to the ladder. I swear, you follow the ladder up with this with Temptation, but I guess only Prince, right? So, I like the song. I like the song. It's not one of the stronger songs of the album. It's silly, but it's a solid 9 for me. It's a solid 9, lower end 9, I guess you could say. But because of the guitar playing on it, it's cool. It's cool. I've always liked the song. I thought it was an interesting closer because we always think that the closing track on a Prince album is a very important album, and apparently this one had to be very important for him to put it as a closer. I thought it was an interesting choice. I think I would have closed it with the latter, but you know, I think if you reverse the order on these two, it makes a little bit more sense. But I respect it that it's an ending like that, because I mean he does end it with goodbye. So you know you can't get more definitive than that, right? But yeah, it's a solid 9 now, especially now with this. I think I rated it lower before. But with the Sonic remix that it has, it really fleshes it out a lot better. I kind of wish you could hear the sax a little bit more, but other than that, I really got no qualms with the mix on it. It's pretty good, solid 9.
All right. I said this sounds like Dirty Mind Prince, but with Michael Jackson's studio budget. Again, I love the fullness of this. And again, if I'm just thinking of in the time that this came out, hearing him play like this, it ties into sort of the mythology that he's pushing in the Purple Rain tour to me. So for it to come out when it did, I connected that. I was like, oh, this is kind of what he seemed to be talking about in the thing. It's sort of this conflict between the righteous and profane and that thing. And I think it to me sets the stage where he explores this even further on, moving into his career. I think it comes to a head of Sexy. The things he's talking about here become the main story all the way over. But even as far back to this, even with the success of Purple Rain, he's already letting you know that, yeah, I'm sort of wrestling with the way I used my persona before and kind of what I want you to know of me now. And I think that's interesting, coming so right during the heyday of his thing, like when he's at the top, he's kind of letting you know, hey, there's more going on here than just, sex shooters and, all that kind of stuff. So I always thought it was fascinating to me because I was like, wow, what's, you know, going into Purple Rain and things, I didn't really catch the, I guess, Christianity of it, or sort of him wrestling with that. Now looking back, I would die for you and something, he's explicitly saying it, but it's just so done slickly that you could not understand what he's talking about. But here he makes it very plain, and I just think the musicianship is super aggressive to me. Like his vocal performance, unlike any, I mean, it's super. Yeah, he's done screams and stuff before, but here he's just going for every little thing he says is exaggerated. Every way that he sings it is, I mean, like he's just leaning
Yeah.
into all of this stuff, man. And I think that's cool. It just shows a confidence that he's like, I can do anything. Like I'm gonna go, and then the mix, the styles of music all together, it's it's blues, but it's rock, soul, it's somewhat gospel-y, it's just, and he does it perfectly. I think no one else could record some shit like that with that much conviction, where even if you don't like it, it don't sound like he's bullshitting, like he's invested in it, whatever that is. Like he's totally into it, even the extended background, like most people would not do something like that. So I do appreciate that he was like, no, I'm going in on this. Looking at just some of the production of this, basic tracks done during a one-day session, December 4th, 1984, at Capitol Studios in Hollywood. It says the reason why he recorded there is because his engineer, David Leonard, was now working there. And it says this session was only Prince and Eddie M. So interesting that everything you hear there is Prince except for the sax. But here's something I didn't know, and again, I wish they had. It says the song was tried out with the band the day prior during sound check at Richford Coliseum in Ohio. Initially as a rock blues number, nearly twice as fast in pace as the eventual session. Although this sound check session on the 6th of December was recorded as well, Prince decided not to use any of it, but instead start on a much slower version from scratch the next day with just him and Eddie M, which is what we are listening to. So there is another version of this with the band out there. I'd be interested to hear. So that's very interesting to me. But I think this is fantastic. Then it says he recorded the song, but he comes back and does that spoken intro part. Looks like on Christmas Eve of the same year, and records that at his house. But he did it in a mobile truck that was parked outside of his house in his driveway, which is interesting again. So, I mean, I love the fact that, man, he doesn't care where he's at. He going to get the performance.
Well, that tells you how much he liked this song.
Yeah.
He kept going back to it that way because he didn't do that.
Yeah,
not on the regular.
Pretty interesting. All in the course of December 6th, 7th with the band. Oh, no, I'm sorry. December 6th with the band. Scrapped that. Went back the next day, just him by himself and Eddie M. And then weeks later comes back. So let me add this little thing to the end, so they don't really know what's popping. Let me show them what Temptation's about. So I love it, man. That's the album. Before we get into these other tracks, real quick, just overall takes on this record, man. This album itself. Day dropping. Go ahead.
Well, again, this album was that album that would it would trim the fat from the people who from all the fan base, those who were just there to cling on to the popularity of Purple Rain were removed with the release of this album, and it cold the crowd, as it were. And I thought that was a good move. The reason why this one didn't sell like Purple Rain, because it's not Purple Rain, and that's to its financial detriment, but at the same time, it's a good thing, very good thing. If you don't have this, you don't have Parade, and you don't have Sign of the Times, you don't have Love Sexy. there has to be a starting point for those things to jump off of, to make, because at that point we had a string of years in the 80s where every album was going to be distinctly different from the previous one, much more in the latter half of the 80s than in the first half. And it all started with, in 1985, with Around the World in a Day. And that's the high respect that I have for this album. This is the album that really made me a true fan of his music. Hearing this and taking it in, realizing that this is what he's capable of doing. I want to hear what he does with the next album now. And he didn't disappoint. And he didn't disappoint after that, and after that, and after that. It was always something different. Um, that and the fact that this album was one of the main albums of my formative years growing up. So it holds that as well. Um, Before, it sounded awesome. It was beautiful. It's a beautifully done album. Now it's even better. Um, I urge those who have heard this and they're on the fence of whether they should listen or get this newer version of the album, and definitely go with it. Because again, I maintain that this is one of the best remasters that the estate has done for his albums to this point, if not the best one. Uh, Again, because it wasn't expected that it needed it, and then it happens, and you're like, wow, there is a difference. And overall, this is because of its context of when it was released and what was before it and what came after it. This is, regardless of the individual scores of the songs as a whole, as a project, I take this as a 10 out of 10. This is such a pivotal move and gamble for Prince that paid off and paved the way for what would become some of his greatest albums afterwards. Without this one, you don't get the other stuff. Without this being put out there, I think this gave him the confidence to do a whole bunch of different sounds later on. And I think that's the beauty of this album, is that it worked for us as diehards to remain sticking around to hear what was going to happen next. And I think it helped him be able to realize he can do other things and go crazy with it. And he did. And I'm happy for it. Again, if you're on the fence, this is an easy choice. Listen to this album. It is worth your while, especially in this new remix.
I'm going to ask you both this question too. Thinking, I'm going to get to Big Sexy next. Would you give this album to a new Prince listener?
No, they're not ready for this album up front.
Not by itself. No,
not by. It's too much. They would probably wouldn't want to listen to another Prince album if they heard this one first. They're less inclined to want to listen to a follow-up album. I think.
What would make you say that?
Because it's too out of the way from because now people know of Prince. If you're, or they're gonna will have heard of. If you get somebody who's never ever heard of him, they're probably gonna think this is nothing. It's because this still doesn't sound like really much of anything that you hear today. It doesn't. It's always stood to be its own sound. So if you're not ready for that, you're likely to be turned off. And especially nowadays, if you have people who have heard of Prince, they're going to be of a certain age most likely, and their expectation is to hear Purple Rain stuff. I mean, that's all.
I'm saying it's a new Prince, so maybe they don't have any sort of. All they just know would be a pop culture-ness of it. They've heard Raspberry Beret. They may know that, right?
Right, but they're going to know Purple Rain and When Doves Cry, 1999. They're going to know that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If we have a brand new person, they're going to be very, very young, and they're going to be, then now you're talking about the mentality of a young listener of music now, which is very different than our mentality even at that age back then. You listen to the songs a lot more for a longer period of time before something else came out back then, and now it's disposable because of streaming and everything. So they would probably just dismiss this. So no, I wouldn't show them this. Before my answer would have been Sign of the Times, so have them listen to. But I agree more with what you had said back then, which would have been the hits. Let them hear the hits first, and then ease them into something like this. But no, it wouldn't be this one. but I would be very happy knowing that this is going to be coming up for them to listen to. But okay, now that you've heard this and you've appreciated that, now I got something for your ass. Then you give them this.
Hilarious.
Then you give them this.
What did you think about that, Big Sexy? What's your thoughts?
I agree, because when you have an artist with a deep catalog and you actually have run someone who hasn't heard any of it, where do you start? You want to start with the things that he's known for doing. You want to start with your 1999 Purple Rain. Then you say, then he went little different directions here and there. Then you get into this, get into Dirty Mind. Let his work paint that picture. You can say it about any artist. Because kind of like we mentioned earlier, Bowie had his era of the Ziggy Stardust. He's like, I'm not doing that anymore. Now I'm doing the Let's Dance stuff. Okay, now I'm doing something else. And that's the sign of any true artist. But one thing, I think you said this. No, Ernie said this. With the last song we heard, Temptation, that's one of his best screams. And I'm not a singer, where do these screams come from? Was Eddie Murphy right? Was James in the studio one day? I need a lyric right here. Hey! There you go. Put that in. Is that what happens? I don't get it.
Oh man, that's just to me, it's the same way what Michael Jackson doesn't all his stuff. It's just a feeling, the music's so heavy. This is just it just coming out.
It's that inner drive that comes out as a sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely is. So I would, to answer my own question, I guess I would say yes, only because I would think of, and you brought up some great ones to say, what was Prince known for, this sound and stuff. But I almost wonder, from talking from a lot of newer, younger fans in the last few years, I would think sonically their ears are more tuned to the 90s Prince than they would be to 80s Prince, because most music doesn't sound like that. And for them, the beats and all the stuff that he's doing, you could say gold experience on, are probably more sonically sound familiar to them, what they're used to sounding, and don't necessarily, they would sound like 90s songs. And for them, the 90s is probably how we would see the 80s in terms of like, what's the generation before me type of thing. So sometimes I wonder if the Diamonds and Pearls and some of that, I can see why those albums there's a lot, it seemed like a lot more newer fans are like, I started with that, and that makes sense to me. So I would say I could give it to somebody, because I feel like there's Pop Life on there. There's Raspberry Beret, which I'm sure they've heard those songs. And to me, those songs are easily digestible type of songs. But I think that I would think younger people probably have they probably have a more balanced ear at their age now than we did at their age, where they're so used to hearing rock stuff, they're used to hearing pop stuff, they're used to hearing hip hop stuff, they're used to hearing all these different genres and subgenres, where I don't think we were all stuck to stay in our lanes back then, where I think the listeners today, they've listened to all this shit. They're listening to Bruno Mars, they're listening to Lady Gaga, they're also listening to Beyonce, they're also listening to Drake. They have such a wide swath of stuff that they're into, that I don't think they would see it the way we saw this then. Because back then, a black artist, you better not stick, like you better not jump out of your lane of music style. You better stay right. And I think Prince had to deal with that. And this album is sort of the answer to that. On one hand, I hate that he had to think like that, because he was a musician. I hate that he felt like he had to make such a drastic turn to show off what he could do, because he could play it all. But maybe his prior success made him feel like he was pigeonholed to just do this style of music, but and so let me put something totally different. But then I would say too, when you get to Sign of the Times or shit, even after the release of this, I wonder if he questions sort of doing that a little bit because, oh no, it's funky, or yeah, the next one's gonna be the real stuff, or Sign of Times, I'm going back to my more roots of this, and I hate that he felt like he even had to do that. Like all of this stuff is dope, I fell victim to thinking this album was such a drastic thing, and it was. But now when I hear it now, but again, I've had many years to listen to all of his stuff. It doesn't sound as drastically different to me now as it did back then. Back then, this sounded like records. But now when I listen to this just sounds like some Prince shit to me. Like it doesn't really sound, but then again, I've had all these years to digest and piece it all together. So yeah.
Well, yeah, in hindsight that he could always do that.
Yeah.
He just, and you have so many examples of it having been done afterwards. But in 1985, all we knew was Up to Purple Rain. Mm-hmm. And there was a certain sound that traveled with that. So when this came out in 1985, we're lucky. We're the lucky ones. We lived through that. So those who listen to it now aren't going to have that context to go by.
Right.
It's like trying to explain somebody the craziness of the Blair Witch Project movie when it first came out. And they're like 15 years old. They have no idea. They go, this was a scary ass movie when it first came out. It scared a lot of people. And they're like, this is stupid. It's not even scary. It's not okay, but you don't understand. You weren't there in the time when it first came out to get all the context and everything going on about this. Same with this release in 85. It was a whole different world, and a whole different Prince world at that. And for this to come out then, it was jarring, but it was jarring in a very good way in hindsight.
Yeah, I think it's jarring too because he made it jarring.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, if he would have led off with Pop Life and had a video, it wouldn't have been jarring to me. Like that would have been a banger. You'd have been like, "Oh yeah, he back with another banger." And the rest of it, we would have just been left to figure it out for yourself. But he could have easily, again, we didn't mention, but this album was released with no single, right? He just threw it out there.
Right. There was no single to it.
But that's coming off of the hyper success of Purple Rain, where you can do that. Mm-hmm. But you can't do that without the hyper success of Purple Rain. Like, you won't have a single. So at this point, they're letting him do whatever the hell he wants to do because he's super successful. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, he could have been like, you know what? Yes, I'm going to be in my artist bag. I want you to just listen to this as a whole project. But if he would have been like, I'm still going to put out this, or even if it was Raspberry Beret, I'm going to put this out before the album, got the video, I think it would have blew. It wouldn't have been no question. You would have looked different, but it would have been like, yeah, this shit is jamming. Okay. But by not doing that and leaving it up to chance or whatever, yeah. And then and of course, he was very mysterious back then, so you didn't know what the hell was going on anyway. Mm-hmm. It just left up to the audience's interpretation of the mystery. And so without any information, your mind is going to make it something other than maybe it really is. And I think we made it, this because we had nothing else to go on, right? What were we supposed to, what was our frame of reference? It was everything that came before that. So if you do that, then yeah, I don't understand what's going on here. Why did you change this? And he's not talking. It's not until after the album comes out where he's like, okay, let me explain a little bit about what, he does that interview. But to me, if it had really just put the music forward in the way that we were used to getting it, I don't think it would have been that much of a issue. And it's not that people didn't want to buy it, right? Because it was highly anticipated before it came out. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, he's got a new one coming out. We got to get it. And I think it was when people were just left up to their own devices and not giving some guidance to how you're supposed to listen to this. Then yeah, it's going to be like, okay, I don't. What song you play? Oh, that. Okay, there's no picture of Prince. Yeah, there was no pictures of Prince, right?
This is almost, this album is funny. It's almost like this is, how do I say it? I don't sound rude about it, but like Burnout Prince. He burned out off of Purple Rain. That's why, and this is the end result was this: no videos, no releases, no nothing. Because I'm burned out, man. But here's the music, and and you get that idea, especially when you read Tudor's book on it, on the recording sessions and Purple Rain and everything, and the ensuing stuff with that. He was burned out. It was grueling. It was a lot, even for a person like Prince, to then just bringing out something like this. Go, here you go. No touring, no, no. We did it. We're done. We're done right now. We got to recharge, but in the meantime, here you go. Wow. If that was the case, that's one hell of a cool burnout to listen to.
Yeah, I think the burnout is in the presentation. I don't think the music is like obviously not burnt out
right.
recording this stuff.
No, I mean presentation. I'm referring to
Yeah,
presentation, not the
the
music.
presentation is the burnout, which affects how we listen to it. Because
Yes.
the music itself ain't burnt. Like, it's recorded in the heyday, most of it before the effects of the Purple Rain project. So it wasn't on tour yet. He was,
but the release is
rehearsing
definitely
for
in the
tour
effects
for these
of
songs,
the
right?
Yeah.
So these songs are just made in the sense of, yo, I just came off of this great project nobody's heard yet. What are we going to do? Well, I'm going to still keep recording, so there's no intention to make it seem like it's some kind of withdrawal from it, but the way it's presented to us is because we're dealing with his, like you said, maybe the burnout of the success of it, the expectations. And I think he's a classic contrarian. So of course, in the contrarian fashion, of course I ain't gonna give them what they want. Like, I ain't gonna put my face on it. Ain't no video. Fuck 'em. What are you talking about?
There's that too, yeah.
I think that plays heavy into it, because listening to it now, it's a fantastic album. Like, it's ridiculous. All right. We're not done, and we've been going for a second. We're going to touch on most of these songs. So let's just jump right. So the next one I don't have to play. This is the 12-inch version of America. 21 minutes.
Get in shape.
You never, I don't think there's ever, none that I know of. I don't know of any other song or music performance, at least from a big mainstream artist like this, that was 20 plus minutes of one particular song. I'm sure there must be, but
there's a few. There's a few.
Okay, yeah, because of somebody of this stature.
This stature?
Hasn't heard of. And for them to put that out, and it to be badass. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like this. I don't know if there's anything like that goes hard like this. You can argue he's a pop artist at this point. And to be taken serious musician wise, fantastic. I don't even remember like the talk of this when it came out. I remember buying it, but I don't remember if I knew it was 21 minutes when I bought it or not. I don't know if you guys can remember that at all, or like if you knew, like, yo, go get America because it's 21 minutes or something. I don't know if I knew that.
I don't think it was 21 minutes. So I actually picked it up and turned it over. On the back of the album it says 21 minutes. Like, goddamn. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, like what does that sound like? 21. How does that work? Like
yeah.
But yeah, what a tour de force. This was for me the start of the 12-inch, at least for me, my 12-inch phase. And I would let this play and just let it play over and over again and really listening to it and just getting caught up in it. And I had never heard nothing like that before, this is fascinating to me. If you guys have any thoughts on it.
I remember when I was a kid, there was a group called Rare Earth, before your time. And they were Motown's only rock act. And they did a cover of Get Ready. And on the live album, the guy's all, okay, we're getting about 20 minutes to Get Ready. I'm like, no way. Yes way. They did it. They did it. And I'm sure Springsteen, at one of his many concerts, he's done something like that. Okay. But not as a single. No. She has a 12-inch. I can't think anybody from that point, from that time, doing it. Now, we had 12-inch singles back in the day, and I know Knee Deep was 14 minutes. But I can't really get past those two really that stand out. Now,
Right.
now wait, I take it back. The Isley Brothers will always, during their peak years, would go Fight the Power, Part 1 and Part 2.
Okay, yeah.
But
James
it was
Brown
never,
would do stuff like that.
but it was never 20 minutes worth.
Mhm.
So you might be right.
I wonder if
don't
that's
know.
where that comes from. When he's doing this, is it sort of homage in some degree to what you just mentioned here, the Part 1, Part 2s. I remember James would do that.
Mhm.
Of course, he goes and does it again. It's not 20 minutes, but I Wish You Heaven, Part 1, 2, and 3.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, you also have like Pink Floyd did it with "Shine On You Crazy Diamond."
Yes.
Okay.
That goes on forever.
But that was different movements, though. That was different
Right, that
movements.
was different though. But yeah, and it was no single. Well, it kind of was, but not really like that. No, this one's wild. You know, I knew it was gonna go. It was gonna be a long night when you hear him say, "That's enough." And at the 12-minute mark, and you're only 12 minutes in, and he says that. I think that's the last thing that he says. The last spoken word in the 12-inch of America is when he says that. That's enough, and that kind of echoes when he says it or reverbs it, and then it just jams from there. It's just jam session.
Boom, and the bomb go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the video had came out during that time, was out at that time too, and so that was like, oh shit, the bomb and the bomb go. That was like a thing for me at one point. I used to always say, boom.
You know my favorite part of the video? My favorite part of the video is towards the very end when it's going to end, and you see him looking over at the crowd, and he's mouthing, "You can't fuck with us." He's mouthing that, and I love that. Love that. Didn't get censored or anything. Not censored. There's no sound to it, but he's definitely mouthing, "Can't fuck with us," or "You can't fuck with this." One of those two.
Yeah. That attitude right there about Prince is that's what I loved about. Like he at this point, the live performance, he knew like, yeah, I'm stomping my foot on every other band music. If you're not coming like this, get off this motherfucker. Like I
He
love
believed
that.
it. He believed it wholeheartedly.
And was prepared to back it up too.
Exactly.
Come on off stage, just figure it out. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's required viewing, folks. You must watch. Number one, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. While My Guitar Gently Weeps. You must watch that, and you must watch the America video. And you, if you want to, you can also watch. It's gonna be a beautiful night from Silent Times.
When you watch the Hall of Fame, look at the faces of Donnie Harrison and Jeff Lynne from ELO. When Prince does his thing, those two were just beaming because they were into it.
Yep, agreed.
Right. All right. Let's. Oh, and I assume you're giving this a 10.
It's an 11. Remember? This was 11.
That's right.
Yeah, it's 11 out of 10.
That's right. All right. We're gonna move on to the next one here. That's because he was smoking on the joint. That was early chronic. Fantastic. Just adding the chicken scratch and just fleshing it out, and they badass. The video starts with this. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that.
10 out of 10. Simple. It's easy.
Okay. Give me 1 second. All right, so this next one, I know we're gonna let drop in off, but let me just play a little bit of this real quick. The floor is yours, sir.
Oh man. Believe it or not, I can say this is my second favorite Prince song of all time.
Ooh.
Because my favorite is the new mix of this song. Man, this is epitome Prince for me. I gotta collect myself. Getting emotional here. Getting emotional. Yeah, this one. From the flange effect to the Lindrum to the guitar, that hook, that it was recorded with the funk face when he recorded that. I could see him with the dirty, and the lyrics. I mean, this was all Susanna. He was just all in love, and you could tell. For a while there, I would play a snippet of this. I'd use it as a ringtone for what my wife would call me, because I love the idea she's always in my hair. I'm bald now, but she's always in my hair nonetheless. But man, I love this song. This song is the best. We've heard so many outtakes, so many songs that we knew of but never heard before that have since been released by the estate, and yet this still reigns supreme for me as the number one Prince track. Some people have a difficulty putting their number one. Some people will get the generic. What's your number one? All of them. No, you have one. And for me, yes, 100%. Yeah, 100%. This is my number one Prince jam of all time. This is the highest score. Whatever that number you want to give it, this is the highest score. This track here, this is perfection for me, this track. And this is why you knew immediately what I was going to be saying about this track. You guys know me too well to know that I have nothing but high praises for this, to the point where I soon after Prince's passing, I think it was Steve Park who did a lot of his pictures and a lot of his stuff. Was it Steve Park who did that? I think he had a limited edition shirt that he released that I bought, that has that kind of font that it would say "He's always in our hair," and it was shaped like the wording was shaped to form like 1980s Prince with the long, hair curls and stuff like that. And I still have that shirt now. I still sport it every once in a while. I'm like, wow, what a way for me to show homage to the man. And then when it's referencing my favorite song, I had to get that shirt. And man, this is perfection. Whatever number above 10 you could think of, it's probably that plus one. So,
all right,
that's my take.
Big Sexy.
I mean, you got it pretty much right. Hearing these things again after so many years, and hearing them updated and with a little special sauce on them, or to quote Terry Lewis, a little extra sheen on them, a little bit of that sauce. Yeah. I love it. It makes it refresh again, which I hope is the goal to this, because it definitely to some new listeners, to young ears who weren't around way back when, and get to hear it in his best presentation. You can never have too much of things like this. Never.
Right on. I was going to say, with the remaster, this ridiculously shines. The best it has ever sounded. I agree with everything both of you guys said. Day Dropping, you nailed it. I would argue this is one of his greater songs of all time as well. This almost is it's interesting. It's a precursor to me now. Listen to it. This could have sat on Sign of the Times and been right at home. Like, to me, a lot of those
100%
sound like this style in a sense. Like, to me, this is the true Prince sound, in my opinion. And I say this to say, this thing says this song was recorded in '83 initially, which was predate. It was pushing it into
a lot of stuff.
1999 era, actually. And then he apparently recorded a whole different version that we have not heard that was scrapped in '84, as it says here in Prince Bowl. But to me, this song to me, and so it ends up as a B-side on Around the World in a Day. But to me, a song like this is why, when I think of Around the World in a Day, I understand why he made the choices to do what he did. But I feel like he had banger classic material. For whatever reason, is not spotlighted on the albums, but is sort of relegated to literally the B side of other songs. And this song was on the album Around the World in a Day. It would have been another reason why you could not look at this and be like, yo, this cat is cold blooded. Like, what are you talking about? We would have been jamming this if it was on the record. It was, so to me, it's like, it's not a Purple Rain 2 thing or something. Obviously, he did all these songs before that. He didn't feel it was Purple Rain 2 to put this shit out on this as a B-side. There's something else going on, because this should have been on the record. Like, he obviously has songs that would have been no question, if you heard them, would have been no question classic bangers. And they recorded before Purple Rain was even a thing. That he's still, even at this point, he's still pulling from the vault. In this early, he's pulling from the vault way back in the day, right? Because he know, yo, this is a banger, but I'm not gonna I'll put that on the B side. They not ready. That's how it comes off.
Yeah, it's a cocky move.
But the thing is, we were ready for it. I think this is what the expectation was. At least for me as a newer fan, I'm listening to all this shit and I'm jamming. I'm like, my God, who is this guy? This is ridiculous. This is what I was waiting for. I thought the album would just be full of this. And I would not have ever said he's repeating himself. Like, I would have never said that as a fan. I'd have been like, nigga, this is great. I would have been jamming this. We wouldn't have said, this sounds just like what the fuck are you talking? No one would have said that. So that's why sometimes I'd be puzzled. Now I'm puzzled. Like, it's just like, dude, I hate that he was in that predicament to think that way, because clearly the music wasn't different. He wasn't copying himself. You know what I'm saying? Because if we felt like that, we wouldn't be jamming the 12. We wouldn't have been jamming the 12-inch. We'd have been, oh, this sounds like Purple Rain or something. We didn't say that. This is bangers, right? No one was saying, oh, you sound this way or that. I just hate that he had the thing, but I understand why he thought that way. But clearly the material was all there. And it's timeless. Even at that point, it was timeless. In 83, when he made it, it was timeless. And he sat on it for a couple years and didn't even give it the shine it should have gotten. Because this would have, imagine if this was a video. You imagine if he would have came out, them concerts busting this. I mean, it goes on to live a classic life many years later, right? Like, he starts to do it again. You hear the covers, D'Angelo covers it. I mean, this song has legs, man. And it's from this era, and it was presented to us from this era, but it ain't from this era. It was before this.
But this song does have legs, though, because he did.
No, I'm saying it does. It's just that it should have been on the record. There's really no.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, and we wouldn't have been like, this is Purple Rain 2. Like, no one would have said no shit like that.
No, because it sounded
he might
different.
have felt like that, but we would have been rocking. We'd have lost our minds on this. The other thing I was to add in a weird quantum realm, and I always thought, and I there is a connection, that this was so much like Sex Shooter. It was almost like a remix or something. And it says here, because it has the same drums and everything, Prince took a 4-note riff from Sex Shooter and slowed it down for this track. She's Always in My Hair was listed as Sex Shooter on the studio work order.
It was, yeah.
One thing I thought would be interesting if he would have been like, yo, this song is a banger. If they would have had this in the movie, and if it would have been a scene like, he saw them doing Sex Shooter, Apollonia 6, and maybe it was after the taste, and and the kid like, okay, and then his next performance, instead of doing Darling Nikki, change it around, he starts playing their beat. When we saw Morris and Jerome was hitting on the thing, like, let's have some action. I mean, it's the same beat, right? So if he would have, and we saw go with me here, there's obviously must be a scene where the kid comes to that warehouse while they're rehearsing that, because you see it in the trailer, and that's when he turns around and punches Jelly Bean in the face. Rest in peace to Jelly Bean, right? So it would have been interesting if he did go to that warehouse, he heard them playing that song, they kicked him out or whatever, And then he was like, okay. Then his next thing at the First Avenue is the Revolution starts playing that beat. And then he goes into boom, boom. And they're sitting, Apollonia and them is sitting out there, and he's singing that song to her, like in the same way he was doing Darling Nikki. And she runs out. He's like, it's always in my head. And then, you know what? In my head. You know, and then, you, is it him? He'd do that part, you know, and it'd be hilarious. And then Morris was like, man. And you know, Billy's just like, but that would have been, I would have been dope though. I mean, I could have seen that would have worked in the movie, and that would have been
Mike. That's cool, man. I never thought of that. That would work. If you replace that one with Darling Nikki, with She's Always in My Hair, that I think that would work.
And she still runs out. It still has the same effect.
Exactly, it would have the same effect. You know, I guess they kept the other one. The other one made it seem,
but Darling Nikki,
dirty.
Yeah. But anyway, what a fantastic song! It's one of the highlights of this reissue is this new mix on here. Absolutely,
100%.
Which is again why I would suggest, like, if you're a new listener, you can't go wrong with this song. Like, if I was like, go listen to the Around the World in a Day, is a deluxe edition. You may not like the whole thing, but I guarantee you, there's probably 4 or 5 songs that's gonna blow your head open, and this gonna be one of them. You know. All right. What was after this? Okay, so we did that. Okay, here we go. Oops. Are they just pulling or taking the vocal out on this part, pulling it from the later part in the song and putting it at the beginning? This is the same solo that's heard in the song, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
It's not like a new thing. It's just pulled that from
the song. It's the guitar that comes out in the later part of the original album version.
Okay.
And notice this got both of those iconic intros. It got the count and the woo. Man.
Yeah. Big Sexy. What's your thoughts on this?
I'm embarrassed to say I've never heard this one before now.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it did strip the lyrics out, and I don't want to say looped it, but they definitely reassembled it and let the guitar play a little longer. Recording wise, it's excellent. In fact, I'm playing when I get off the phone. I want to delve in this a little bit.
Okay, absolutely. Day Drop.
Well, I mean, it's a great remix. I've always wanted to take the album version and this one and kind of edit them together to make one whole long, because this is missing the vocal parts of the end of the album version. Doesn't appear in this one. And I always want to figure out some way to incorporate it in there and just make one big old mix. But I like it. I've always liked it. I've always thought this is a cool alternative version of it. I guess that's the definition of the remix, but it feels different. Same song, but different, but in a good way. I like it. You know, I mean, I don't recall what I scored Paisley Park, but it'd be the same score as that. It's just a nice song. It's a good song. Great remix.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this 12-inch did not come out in the States. This one was overseas. So I know I didn't hear it at the time. I heard it many years later.
Yeah.
This man, European club mix, man. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they started. This is when they started getting the treats we didn't get. I was like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, I wouldn't hear this song until I'm gonna age myself with this one, until LimeWire.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that'd be.
That's early.
Oh,
that's when I heard
early.
Yeah, actually, I had a little LimeWire thing myself for a minute.
Right on. All right, we're gonna keep it moving. Which I wonder, are they using some sort of early sampler to pull off that da da, or were they literally cutting tape to do that? Because that's not. I don't know how they do the timing on that. Yeah, the 12 inch. There's two 12-inch versions. There's the Fresh Dance mix that was released in the States, which is the one that I had bought, and then there's the extended version. I think again that was another overseas got that version. We didn't get that on vinyl back then. We're not going to play both of them, but they are both remarkable in their own way. Day dropping. Any thoughts on?
I always forget which of these two has the Frere Jacques part, the la 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 part.
The Fresh Dance mix, the
Okay.
one we were just playing. Yeah, the Sheely.
Yeah, yeah. And so is it the other one that has the extra lyrics on there, what's the matter with your sex part? Is that what the extended version has? I always get them
I
confused.
think
as to
they
what?
don't they both have that or not?
I don't remember.
I think
always-
the extended one has even more lyrics, I want to say, but I think they both have that. It's 15 minutes your best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, those are some cold lines, man. But yeah, I mean, this is another example of, back in the 80s when Prince would release extended stuff. Better listen, because you're going to miss out on some really good stuff. This is a good example of that. I mean, both of these mixes here, because I can't remember what goes on one or the other. It doesn't matter, because I listen to both of them equally, and I love both of these mixes equally. I mean, I'm really just glazing the hell out of this release, but it's that good. It is really that good, and this is just another example. This is how you do remixes to make people want to listen to it even more and keep them wanting more. And that's what these two tracks do. I mean, they're both bangers, like you say, Mike. And they're they'll hover around 9 or 10 as a score for both of them, easy, depending on whether it's raining or not. 9 or 10.
All right. Big Sexy.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't really have much to say.
I got nothing.
All right, well,
the music speaks for itself, right?
Yeah, that's great. Oh, just to complete it, did you guys see the music video that they just put out
for Pop Life?
Pop Life, yeah.
I saw you put a link to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Girl with the animated rump. Oh yeah.
Any thoughts?
Well, the animated rump thing was kind of silly, but I mean, it was a pretty good. I thought it was neat. It was good. It was good. It's acceptable. I mean,
rump can never be silly.
You're right.
I want to do it. Zoom.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I could have been happy with just the performance footage.
Where's that from, guys?
That's the is it the 86 parade warm-up show from First Avenue. They've been showing this at Paisley Park.
Is that what that?
Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Infamous Punk of the Month. Oh yes.
I'm not sure why they don't put that out so we can see it, but
have you guys seen it? Have you guys been over to Paisley
I've
Park
only seen just this was a bootleg many years ago.
Yeah.
Terrible quality.
Quality is not good. No.
Yeah, terrible. And it was only, we didn't know at the time, it was a multiple camera film, but the bootleg is only from one angle.
Oh.
But the one they're showing, obviously you can see they're doing multiple shots, different takes and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder where that was from. I was trying to look up information on it, I couldn't find anything. Okay. From that it's from that release thing.
Yep.
The For Your Eyes Only Paisley Park release.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. All right. Keeping it moving. Another banger. Hello. Man. I was saying, to me, this is OG Face Down. Same kind of energy. It's controversy Prince to me. Sexuality. To me, this is a good harking back to Dirty Mind controversy. This to me is like Prince breaking character and being real, not singing about some fantasy thing. Like he's talking about real life situation he's going through that's currently in the news for him. I love that. To me, I just love the way, again, it's that cynical There's a certain attitude that Prince has, and this one is bathed in that. I'm making that word. It's just immersed in that attitude. That when I think of Petty Prince, and later when he's like, or Punk of the Month and all that kind. To me, this is that. Like, you're gonna have to fight your own. This is also. Are you gay? No, are you ho? It's to me, it's that same kind of hello. There's just as much hunger here at home. So I don't know what y'all don't let the pop success fool you. We ain't playing over here. It's like I'm sitting here with the female in the vehicle. Here come y'all people. Hey, come give us a smile. Like, hey, come on, bro. Like, nah, we'll whoop. No, you call them I'm calling my friends, but they will whoop your ass. I love this, man. This is where he was letting them know, like, let's not, slow down. I know y'all fascinated by me and all that, but you're gonna treat me like I'm a human. And I love the monologue at the end. Like I said, to me, he jumps out of this Valentino Prince persona and kind of gives you the real, like, no, I'm just an artist, man. My only aim here is to please. He's sort of letting you know, I'm not just doing this shit for nothing. Like, I'm into this. I am an artist. I need to be respected as such. Yo, we deal with real shit, so y'all can get off my back about We Are the World and all that. We've been doing this type of work. We just don't talk about it. We didn't know that back then, but now I understand what he's saying. Like, I've been giving back. What are y'all tripping? So I love this record, man. And it's funky as hell. And it came out at a time where I felt like at least my cousin, who was a super hardcore early Prince fan, she was kind of like getting off the train a little bit because she didn't really feel around more on the day like that. To me, this was oh no, y'all don't trip. We still jamming. We jamming hard. And I just thought he took it up a notch with this, man. I love this 12. This is one of my favorite 12 inches of all time. Day dropping, you can go, or Big Sexy, whoever wants to go next.
I'll go next real quick on this one. Now, like with Pop Life, I get the versions confused over these two. I just kind of see them as one track and listen to one or the other. They're very similar sounding. Now, let me ask you guys this. At the time that you guys heard Hello, did you know the backstory at the time you heard it?
I knew a little bit about it.
I think I did a little bit. Yeah, I think I knew a little bit.
No, that makes sense. That Mark's answer is a stronger, more confident answer than yours, and for me, no, because again, this is an age thing. I think more than anything else. At the time that it would have been heard, I had no idea. In fact, I didn't. I had heard of the song, but I had never heard the song back when it was released. It wasn't until after I started hearing about the We Are the World stuff years later, and then I heard reference to this song, and that this was his response song to the We Are the World fiasco. And I go, huh? And then so I started looking into it a little bit more. So I knew the backstory before I heard the song, which piqued my interest for the song even more. So when I heard the song, heard the lyrics, and found the lyrics online, I was able to follow with that. I thought, wow, this is crazy, because like you said, Mike, he didn't break the character, the album character, the recording character, the character on stage. He was very, very much into doing that. That's the presentation I'm going to give the people. To see me as boring, that's why I'm going to be mysterious and just give them a taste of the guy on stage and the guy on the record. And then this one, yeah, he pulled the veil back a little bit. You got to see the guy behind the big old Wizard of Oz head, and here's the guy, vulnerable and telling you this is what happened, this is what's going on. And I thought it was very interesting. It was one of the first songs that really interested me on Prince, was this one, because of the backstory behind it. And now a lot of his songs have backstory, but we didn't know about these things back then. And as you touched on a little bit too, Mike, he, since his passing, it's come to light all these things he did, even especially around that time, with different charities and different groups, that he purposely told them, don't say anything, keep it under wraps. And because he didn't want people to know. He didn't want to be known for that. He wanted to be sincere, and I can get it. I kind of get it. He was kind of calling out the hypocrisy of some of these artists coming together to do this We Are the World thing when you may not necessarily mean it. And here I am doing this, and you're getting mad at me for this kind of thing because I didn't want to participate. And I had my reasons, and yet you want to try to blast me on it. I thought it was a great call out when I heard about it. And then I heard the song. I fell in love with the song instantly because I'm like, oh, okay, man. If we're gonna talk shit back to somebody, make it funky, right? And he did.
Mhm.
And he did it with the funky song. So it makes you want to listen to it because it's funky. And then you listen to the lyrics, like, what's he talking about? Well, let me tell you what he's talking about. And then, but man, it's funny. It's just funny. It is. It's a trip. I like it. It is good. It's a great song. This because it's a favorite of mine because it's something that made me look deeper into the lore of Prince. This is a high scoring one as well. I can't tell one from the other on the 7 or Fresh Dance mix. As far as if you show me hey, you want to hear the 7 version or the Fresh Dance mix? I don't know. Put on either one. They're all both good to me. They're both 10s to me. They're just for that reason they get a high score, the highest of scores.
Right on. And just to add, this is all Prince and Jill Jones.
Oh,
That's track.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
To follow up with with what Ernie said, this was the night of We Are the World. Prince had already declined to be involved, and it wasn't because of ego. Just like he asked for a little room so he could do his thing and then leave. They're like, nope, you got to be here with everybody else. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And so he's talking to his management. Alan leaves. He's like, look, man, if you're not gonna do this, stay in the hotel.
Gonna be out on the streets.
Don't be out on the street partying.
Don't get out, right?
And Alan went ahead. A lot of people were in his room. Alan's like, all right, it's cool. He falls asleep, and of course he leaves. He goes to get a pizza or something. No, he went to Carlos and Charlie's, which is owned by Shep Gordon. And so he goes to Carlos and Charlie's. People jump on a car, it pops off. Shep intervenes, like, get him out of here. So he gets back to the hotel. Next day, Prince bodyguards whip somebody's ass, blah, 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 blah. And he came out with the song. The guy just wants to do his own thing and be left alone, but oh no. And I think that's part of the reason why, I'm speculating now, but I think that's part of the reason why Prince and Quincy never got along. You don't tell Quincy no. Motherfucker, I'm Quincy Jones. He said no. Prince said no. And that was the end of that.
Yeah,
especially at that time of the year in Michael Jackson's career, and Lionel Richie was blowing up too. And Prince like, they're writing it and I can't write it? Nah, man, I'll pass.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't have been much of a controversy if not for the drama of what happened with Wally being arrested and all that kind of stuff. So that sort of plays in the news of, oh, here's this upstart from the streets, these thugs, they can't handle themselves. And while the rest of the industry, this is the night of the American Music Awards, is doing some charitable, here you are thugging it out in the streets,
Yep.
I can see, we see that play out today, right? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's just that rapper. They don't know how to act, and we don't really know. Maybe he was just chilling, but somebody being disrespectful and had to handle business. They handle business.
A couple of years ago,
in the press.
A couple of years ago, at the untelevised portion of the Grammys, my man Killer Mike got 3 awards.
All right,
and something jumped off, and they arrested him.
Yep.
I don't know what it was, but I know he was in custody long. So he was there. He was back at the awards a couple hours later. But something happened. Somebody said something.
Yeah.
And Mike had to do what Mike had to do, and then get out of here. And people, the organizers heard about it, like, oh no, get Michael out of the joint. Let him come back to us. People always do stupid shit.
Yeah.
That's why I hate
Yeah.
people.
On one hand, when you bring up the Killer Mike thing, there's been many, there's a very famous classic footage of Nipsey Hussle. I think it was at a BET Awards. He slapped the shit out of somebody standing outside the awards. And you don't know when you hear the situation, now he was being disrespectful. He had to handle business. But I think now with social media, I wonder if that whole incident with Prince, it could have played and been brought down probably quickly if they would have been able to come out and say, oh, well, actually, this is what happened. He wasn't turning his nose up at, the We Are the World. Something happened. Paparazzi was getting at him, got too unruly, and somebody had to get handled. If we would have known that, which is what he's saying in the song.
Yeah.
I think it would have played his whole persona. That was a stain on his career at that time.
It was
very much downplayed today, but that was.
How dare he not go to this thing, man? Fuck
yeah. That could have been. He was blackballed because of that. To some people,
Now, quick trivia: do you guys know what the line was that he was supposed to sing in the song?
Yeah, it was the line that Huey Lewis sang.
Yeah, Huey Lewis's line. Well, but one sentence. That was going to be his contribution to it.
Okay.
One sentence.
All right, we got two more.
No way you can go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Just a little back history on this.
Yeah.
Girl. In basic tracking as a boy took place between spring of 1982 and mid 1983 at Prince's home studio in Chanhassen. The song was originally Boy and was intended for Vanity 6. In a later session, Vanity recorded a lead vocal on the track, which actually still can be heard playing background on the revised and released version. Prince changed the perspective of the song in the fall of '84 when he re-recorded his vocals and retitled it Girl. Interesting. In 2008, an acoustic version was recorded for the Songwriter Project. Both the album and this new version remain unreleased. Yeah, there's some. I would have loved to hear this. Would have loved to hear the Boy version. I wonder, and I was trying to look. Is the song? There's something playing in reverse in this. I know, right?
It's the Boy version.
Is that what's playing in reverse? Yeah, that is so ingenious and mad scientist. I love that. Just and now hearing this in the remix remaster, this song shines as well to me. Again, this to me, I could hear again. I've said this before. I could hear this in Sign of the Times. Like it just sounds like it would have fit perfectly on there. I wish I could have heard this live. There's only one thing that I remember. Apparently, he did do this live a couple of times in the 2000s. But I don't remember when Janelle Monáe, I don't know what award show this was. It was some award show thing on TV. And she was doing a tribute to Prince or something. And at the beginning of, I don't know if it was the beginning, whatever it is, she starts playing, her band goes into this. And it sounded so dope, man. She only did like the first kind of lines of it. But I was just like, God, is that what that sounds like live? That would be something else. And that's the only time I've ever heard it live. And I think Prince was in the audience when she did this. But I love the song. Big Sexy. What's your thoughts?
First time I heard this song, I'm embarrassed to say this, but the first time I heard this song was back in the 80s. I called a Prince 900 line. Okay, we got a new Prince. I'm like, oh, we do? Okay. And it was Girl. I felt cheated. But, fuck. And it was out a week later. Of course, I got it. But I was still mad.
Wow. Now, just for the younger listeners, the one was just 1-900 line. That's where you had to pay, right? You had to pay to make the phone call to hear whatever it is. That was the thing.
Yes. Like
Yeah, that was a. I remember the. Wasn't there a Hammer commercial?
Probably.
When he was average. Something going on, baby. Or so, I just remember that. I know Tobias. He's laughing because I know we.
I remember his Taco Bell commercials, which were just dreadful. I remember the Hammerman cartoon and some of those videos.
Mm-hmm.
They say you ain't hitting in Oakland, Hammer.
Yeah.
What you got to do about that, Hammer?
Hammer, man. And shout out to Hammer, man. I so appreciate him.
Wow.
Fantastic. Fantastic. But yeah, girl. If you had anything else, Big Sexy Young Girl?
Nothing else.
All right, they dropping.
Well, you know, this one along with She's Always in My Hair.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this one along with She's Always in My Hair. I didn't hear them first until the hits, the B-sides. Until I got that. That's when I first heard them.
Whoa.
I knew they were out.
Really?
But I hadn't heard them. The only one that piqued my interest in that time was just Hello. So I had heard that, but I had not heard those two tracks.
What was Girl on the other side of? It was a B-side of a 12-inch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't remember which
it
song that
was.
I don't know.
Oh, America.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but see, I was poor 12-year-old boy. I didn't buy B-sides. I didn't buy singles and stuff. I just had the cassette from Columbia House.
Okay.
Columbia House.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's why
you youngins.
way back. I think I still owe them somewhere, or my dad does. So owe them somewhere. But yeah, that's why I first heard "Girl" was on the B-sides CD from the hits, the B-sides. And the 12-inch version I didn't hear till years later. I didn't even know that existed. So when I heard that, my mind was blown. And for me, that's the definitive version of the track is the 12-inch, not the released one. The released run is really, it's the watered down version. It's a PG version of it because he goes deep in the 12-inch.
Literally.
Yeah.
I always wonder about him when he's recording some of this stuff. Is he like really got people in there with him and like, okay, you guys get out, me and her are just gonna be here, and he just gets kind of crazy because
she's not mic'd up, but he is.
Yeah. But yeah, so I said, I didn't know you had heard this later.
No, way later. I came late in the game with this track. It's still, but it didn't mean I didn't like it any less. It's a beautiful track. It's a great song. If I was gonna throw any more psychedelic on it, it'd probably be "Girl" onto this album. This album life, I guess, because they weren't really part of the album that way, but it was kind of a little bit more the psychedelic that would have added to the Sgt. Pepper comparison, which I don't agree with, but you know, I could see where "Girl" would just add to that. But again, between the two, the 12-inch version is the one that I think is the complete version of it. Well, obviously, right? But I mean, it's the better version of the two. It's not fluff on the 12-inch stuff. It matters to make a full fleshed out track, and it's good. I like it. Yeah, no problem with it.
Yeah, this was one of those early. It was a weird song to me when it first came out. I was like, I couldn't at first. Like I was like, wow, this sounds like Prince, but it sounds unlike any other Prince I had heard. And for a long time, the way I think about some of the early Camille when I first heard it, this kind of reminds me of not the vocals, but the music and the background stuff. You know, again, you can sort of draw a line from this. You could really draw a line from this beat to Sex in the Summer, you know, that thing. Some of the, like I said, Sign of the Time stuff. But I always thought this was a hypnotic, weird record to me. And it reminds me of being a teenager, 12-inch, and I would just let it play. And I would be doing other things, I'm painting or whatever I was doing. It reminds me of that time. And that was when I really started to fall in love with Prince, was during this era, because these 12 inches to me were just so transformable. I was like, oh, you know, because the other side was 21 minutes of America. And then you had this, and this song was what, I don't know, 7-8 minutes or something. So yeah, this is great. All right. We got one more song. And I'm just gonna play this. All right. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna keep it 100. When I first heard this back in the day, I hated it. Hated
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I was like, what is he doing? To me, this at the time it came off as, I mean, he's just trying to do some, he's not doing his style. He sound like he's trying to do some pop. This shit is corny. I didn't like the video. Yeah, I actually hated this song. I will say that back then I literally hated it. I refused to buy We Are the World record because I didn't want to support this song. I'm just like, this ain't Prince. And I was jamming Mountains and all those other, not Mountains, but America and all. Listening to it now and over the years, I can hear. I'm like, okay, I what he's doing is not foreign to me. I've heard this style. Listening to it now, it almost reminded me of, I don't know why I want to say Manic Monday or something. It just has that kind of sound to it. Very much a Wendy and Lisa strong presence, which I love. But at the time, I could not stand the song. It almost sounded like he threw it together. And I'm not trying to be mean, but that's just how that's how it came off to me. But go ahead, they drop.
Yeah, this version of the song is a 15-year-old teenage girl laying on her bed, stomach down on the bed, and her feet swaying back and forth. This is that. It's very poppy, super poppy, and everything. And it's
Super
like
interesting description you got.
Yeah, it's just listening to it, looking at the 1999 cover, wondering where's he at? Where's he at? Type of thing, But I'm kind of with you on that. I when I first heard this, and I didn't hear it like when it was first released. I heard it years later. I heard the B-sides version first, and that's also where I first heard. Well, obviously, where we all first heard that version was there. I don't even know if that was out on bootleg before that, but this version here I heard way after that, and I didn't care much for it when I first heard it. I think for the same reasons. It was just a little bit too. It sounded very phoned in at the time. Now I can say I think I like the song way better than "We Are the World." The
Really?
song I do. I don't care much for that song nowadays. I can respect it and everything that went into to do it. I just don't care much for it. It's kind of corny to me.
It is corny for sure.
Yeah, that's why. But,
absolutely corny.
So
that's why I love
this one. So is this one, but I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
But I still dig it more now. I dig it more now than I did back then. This version of it. For me, the definitive version is the B-sides version. I've always liked that one. I think it's much more soulful for what it's talking about. And I guess that's probably why it kind of took me out also. I wanted to hear the We Are the World version because this is the one that's from the studio. It's going to sound much more fleshed out and way better than what I've heard already on the acoustic version. And no, it went kind of it went opposite of what I expected it to sound like. It went very juvenile on a topic that is not juvenile, where the acoustic one, the mood of the acoustics on it, just him, Lisa, and Wendy, I think it works out fine. It works for that. And that lends itself to the sparsity of the video as well, the black and white video with him in Christopher Tracy gear and playing the guitar, singing it. I've always liked that version. I think, and I like that video. As sparse as it is, I think the video is nice. But I don't care much for the We Are the World version compared to this one. But I have more appreciation for the We Are the World version now than I did before. But if you ask me which one of those two I'm going to hear on the desert island, it's going to be the acoustic one, definitely. That's a beautiful song. Now that one, it's still sparse, but I like it. I give it an 8. It's a solid 8. That is the worst track scored of this whole collection is For the Tears in Your Eyes. Well, no,
Mm.
because For the Tears in Your Eyes, Where the World would probably be a 7 or a 6 even. I don't care much for that one. But yeah, that's the worst track in this collection as far as I'm concerned.
You know,
But
I what I didn't like about it, I think at the time is I didn't want the world to think this was Prince that I
I
knew.
think that's
You know
what
what
it
I mean?
was too.
I was
Yeah,
like, this ain't.
Yep.
Why is he doing this? I'm like,
This
this
ain't
ain't
us.
his. Yeah, this ain't.
yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing. Why is he doing that style? Because I don't want them to think this is what his shit
You hit
sound
the
like.
nail on the head. That's what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, I was kind of secondhand embarrassed for that track to be heard by others.
Mm. Big Sexy, take us home on that.
This song premiered during Live Aid. Michael
remember
Jackson,
that.
who wasn't there, by the way. There's another video that premiered during Live Aid. Bowie and Mick Jagger did a cover of Dancing in the Streets.
That
Great
was from
song.
Live Aid.
That was from Live Aid.
I remember that video. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was fun. They shot it the night before and did all this work to get it ready. I'm thinking, okay, Prince gonna do something like this. So I'm watching all day, just watching, and they finally got to it. Like, the fuck?
Mm.
This was it? Just like you said, Mike, this isn't representative of what we know Prince to be. I expect him to go out there and blow it out. Nope. Didn't happen. I've heard it a few times. I don't own the album either. And I do own the B-sides. So I didn't know it was on the B-sides collection until Ernie just said so. That's how much I listen to that one. I listen to the B-sides with the extended versions. The good stuff. So I didn't even know it was on there. And it was thrown away. It was Prince trying to show the world how smart he is. Well, I'm really a genius, so watch this. No. Do what you do, and this isn't what you do. And I'm gonna kick it. I'm gonna to steal from Michael Dean. I'm gonna keep it a buck too. I thought that he was unconsciously influenced by too much Wendy and Lisa around at that time. That's why I said it. I said it. Not to say they weren't contributing, not saying that at all, but he wasn't calling the shots. The three of them were calling the shots. I'm like, nah, man, this is your deal. You handle this. And that video was bullshit.
Thank you.
Especially coming off the Jagger Bowie thing, which was a lot of fun. Like this shit here, come on, man.
It was such a stylistic change at
Took
the time.
all that out of the room too.
Yeah, I was like, I hope it. When I saw that, I was like, I hope this ain't the direction he's going. This ain't even the album ain't like this. I listened back a song I probably would have tolerated to some degree if he would have did it. Would have been if he did These Are a Place in Heaven. It would have still been weird, but I think that song works better for something like that. But either way, it is what it is. For the tears in their eyes, it is what it is. All right, man, that's it. almost 4 hours.
4 hours.
This is an old school podcast style.
Yeah.
Any last words? I want to kind of keep it a little quick, but I'm going to give you guys opportunity to say any last words. So, day drop and go ahead.
Yeah, this is, like I said, this is that album that really cemented me as a fan of Prince. Sometimes we're lucky to get to know or get musically involved with musical artists who are dare to challenge themselves. And sometimes we like those artists who just kind of go with the flow and they fade out after 1 or 2 albums. But the real ones, the cream of the crop, the cream will rise for those artists who dare to challenge themselves and make themselves stand outside of their comfort zone. And this was one of those situations. And I thought it was beautiful that he was able to do that. Many artists have done that before and since, and it's always great to be part of those artists' musical journeys and see that happen. So it was very fun to see this happen here. Very fun to hear other people jump off the boat. You know, you hear splashing left and right from people jumping off that boat when this thing got released. And I thought that was funny to hear, to see happen. I stayed true, and because I wanted to see what else would happen after that, and I was not disappointed. This was the first of many steps that made me say, dang, this guy's something else, and he's willing to prove it time and time again by changing up his style. You think he's going to zig, and he'll zag, and when you think he's going to zag, he'll zig. I mean, that was his play, and this was the first for me. This was the very first true definitive example of that. And I'm appreciative of this album, even more so now sonically. On the sonic tip, this is beautiful. It's an improvement, leaps and bounds over what we know. And I'm pleasantly surprised because I didn't expect it to be so good. I didn't think it needed to be so good. Shame on me and my old 52-year-old ears for thinking that way and feeling that it didn't need the reprise that it got. But it's so much better now. Again, if one is on the fence on whether they should listen to this or not, because I know there's a lot of negative press out there with this release, I say get it because it's worth it from the improvement in the sonics. So that's my take on it.
All right, Big Sexy.
You can never go wrong with a remaster done by Bernie Grundman. Can't go wrong there. Especially since Bernie was there for the first go round. If anyone is more qualified to do that than Bernie, I don't know who they are. That's what caught my attention. The Atmos thing, yeah, whatever. The remaster and the release in high resolution, like that's what did it for me. I think they need to get the Atmos one out quicker, because assuming they're going to do that and make it available outside of streaming, they need to get it out there. So a lot of us can get to it and play it on our native disc machines and see what's going on. But other than that, I think you and I talked about this off air. I'm going to go on a limb here and say this isn't an estate release. I think this was an estate licensing deal to Rhino Records so they could do this. I'm waiting for the next estate release to be Parade. And I mean Parade as in Super Deluxe Edition. In the categories or the tradition of Diamonds and Pearls and Sign of the Times. That's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
Well, we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
We shall see.
All right. I would say what a fabulous remaster. Like you guys said, I didn't anticipate it sounding this great. I think of all the remasters so far, this may be the best one, only because it is such a jump from the previous to what this is. So on that hand, I think they did a remarkable job on that. This album, I think, is important. To me, this is the start of what I would call Prince's art run. So coming off of the previous group of albums, you could say the first two were really kind of R&B based, traditional. Dirty Mind starts off, the Rude Boy, the real Prince run, what I'm saying, from Dirty Mind, Controversy. 1999 kicks off another run, again, just elevated. Purple Rain sort of, and then stops with Purple Rain, Superstardom. And then, it's the artistic run to me, like this record, Parade, and then Sign of the Times. That progression, fantastic. So I think it's definitely, you need to check this one out just to get the vibe of it and what it starts off. And I think a lot of the stuff that you hear here, what's great about this now is we really researching, this album is pulling from the previous eras. of just the songs that he didn't put out back then that were bangers, and incorporates them into this. And it's something that he ends up doing throughout his career, pulling older songs and retooling them and putting them in his current project or putting them in his 12 inches. So I think it's fantastic of that. I think it's fantastic to look at it if you look at it in context of when it came out, sort of what his intentions were for this. No singles initially, dropping this very early after a very huge album, less than a year. What was it, 10 months after the Purple Rain? That sounds outrageous now to think of. Well, in today's world, that's probably what you would do. Cats is dropping 2 albums a year and whatnot. But back then, unheard of, ridiculous. So the fact that he was able to do something like that, for good or bad, I think it's a cool thing to look at. Looking at it now, though, I will say I don't think the choices. I wish he'd have made different choices with this album because the material was there, and I think now the whole Purple Rain 2 talk is just bullcrap. I don't think we would have ever said that. I don't think anyone said he's 1999. Purple Rain is 1999 2 or the time 2. It's great material. He's not an artist that puts out copycat shit. He never did. And so I don't know why we thought he was going to do whatever he would put out would not be called a copycat because, again, most of these songs predate Purple Rain anyway, so it's ridiculous. But looking back on it, I say it in hindsight because it would have been interesting to see if you eliminate that sort of mindset from his career, then where it would have gone. Though I do like this art run. It's fantastic. But I wonder sometimes the whole fever of it sort of gets in the way of his career a little bit because, sort of, I don't know if it's second guessing to say, but to think there was any question of his abilities is ridiculous, but I see why he may have questioned it and why we may have, I guess. But when you listen to it 30, 40 years later, it's obvious the shit is just as strong as anything else he put out, and it's not really that different. It's just that it was different from what we knew at that point. But again, we didn't think of it like that back then. We just was in the moment, oh yeah. But now looking back, I say 40 years now, shit, that was just some Prince shit. It was dope as hell, actually. And yeah, it would have sounded different than Purple Rain, but that's all we knew at the time. That's not his fault. That's ours. That's our ears is the problem, not his. And now we can see that he has been recording so much. Of course, it's going to sound different. He's advancing on a faster pace than we're able to listen to it, or it's being released. So it will seem a little weird, but when you look at it all now, Around the World in the Day, and some of these songs sonically ain't too different than what he was doing, but they're using different sounds. But it's the same songwriter, it's the same shit. So with that said, this is a great album. It sounds even better now, and I think I'm glad I'm alive to hear this shit. It opens the door for the other remasters. Boy, I don't know if I can handle when we talk about Parade. And I do want the special edition. Don't get me wrong. But I'm sort of tempering already my expectations because I don't want to be disappointed. If all they give me is what they did here, would I be mad? Yes. But if that album sounds so far spectacular sonically than it does now, I won't be that mad because at the end of the day, for me, his albums are enough. Like, I'm not going to say that his music is not going to feed me everything I need to hear. So if I get to hear it in a grander thing and the 12 inches there, I'll still be blasting the hell out of that. And I'm going to still be doing a 4-hour podcast about it because it will sound amazing. If this is any indication of what there is to come forth. Same with something like I Hope I'm Alive when Dirty Mind is re-released. I can't imagine what that record would sound like remastered. Ridiculous. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And even if they didn't put no vault tracks, that'll be enough for me to hear Dirty Mind and full on fucking, it'd be nuts. So, I do want the special editions. I want the special editions with this. We didn't get it, but I'm still having the time of my life listening to this. And I still think it's fantastic. So, we'll see what they do. But yeah, this was excellent. So salute to whoever that you wanted to stay with. I still think this was jamming. Whether mistakes, yes, I heard about the girl. I think was at a different timing or something on the CD, and
something like that. Yeah.
Kick drum missing from it. You understand? Those sound like production issues with this. Which happened. I was in the industry for a very long time. I don't know what their quality control is today when it's obviously not that many discs being made. There's probably a lot of mistakes out there, unfortunately. But hopefully they can fix that in another run or something. But yeah, fantastic. I'm just judging Prince's music. I'm not judging the estate stuff. Musically, top tier. Doesn't get any better. Like, I love it. So there you go. All right. We thank you, the listener. Well, we're about to hit 4 hours in 10 seconds. Thank you for getting on this journey with us. Boy, this harkens back to the old school podcast, how we used to do these. We're really getting in depth into it. So I want to thank Day Dropping for coming through and blessing us. We want to salute Big Ken. He didn't join us today, but wherever he is, man, we miss you. We love you. And hopefully you come on here for the next one. Big, Sexy, and Sack, thank you, sir, for being a part of this. We're about to get out of here. Thank you to the listeners. Work it like a job. We will see you next time. Peace.
What?